Chapter 1352. Hua Xiqian didn't respond. Instead, he continued to write. After he finished writing the last word, he casually tossed the brush aside. Mo Shui stood up and walked over to his right. She looked at the words he had written. Life and death are determined by fate, riches and honor are determined by heaven. Haha, the situation is so big now, it's even at the level of life and death. What, do you really want to fight to the death with Qin Chu? Is it worth it? Mo Shui chuckled. Hua Xiqian turned his head, his eyes dark. You know that I don't like smart women. What if Hua Min is smarter than me? Mo Shui retorted. It's not the same, she's really smart. You think you're smart? Hua Xiqian turned around in disdain, picked up the calligraphy he had written, and quietly admired it. Mo Shui was angry, but she didn't dare to say anything. After all, in Hua Xiqian's eyes, no one was better than Hua Min, no matter how good she was. She originally thought that she wouldn't miss him after she got together with Jiang Yi, but for some reason, she still wanted to see him like a madwoman. Therefore, she disregarded her dignity and threw herself into his arms. Hua Xiqian didn't even say anything, but she did everything for him. She broke her contract and jumped ship, taking away a bunch of GK Entertainment's artists with her. Everyone in the industry called her a traitor. A traitor who sold out her master for glory. After Qin Chu responded to this incident, he showed GK's magnanimity and Mo Shui's despicableness. That night, she lost 800,000 fans on Weibo, something that had never happened before. Many fans turned to passers-by and even haters. She didn't respond to any of the insults she received, all because of this man named Hua Xiqian. However, Mo Shui also knew that Hua Xiqian didn't love her. He never did. He didn't even love her body. When he slept with her, he treated her like an inflatable doll. After he vented, he heartlessly left. She thought that she was the most pitiful one, but later, she gradually realized that Song Yishe and Wang Xiaxia were even more pitiful than her. At least he wasn't afraid of Hua Xiqian, but they were indeed afraid of him. In short, in Hua Xiqian's world, all women were tragedies. Only Hua Min was always the apple of his eye, high and mighty. Mo Shui hated Hua Min to the core. She didn't know how such a woman could exist in this world. Qin Chu, Su Yu, and Hua Xiqian were all people who stood at the pinnacle of the world. Any one of the three of them was outstanding. She didn't know why God favored Hua Min. She, Hua Min, had no talent, no virtue, and no looks. What right did she have? Was it because she had a heart that could bewitch men? Mo Shui didn't dare to say anything in front of Hua Xiqian. After what happened before, she didn't dare to touch Hua Xiqian's bottom line again. She didn't ask for much, she just wanted to be by his side quietly. She was actually more curious about whether Hua Xiqian had a way to defeat a king like Qin Chu. 2 days later, GK Entertainment's Jinling City and Imperial Stars, If You Never Loved Me, were released on the same day. The truth was, this wasn't decided by the two companies. The movie theaters wanted to promote the release of the two movies at the same time, so the conflict intensified. After the two movies were released, there was a lot of reaction. There were both positive and negative comments, and some fans even started a war on a certain movie review website. Wow, did you guys see Jinling City? It was so good, I cried. My tears came out like a waterfall. Trash. People who use anti-Japanese themes to make movies are all trying to make money off the country. 8 years of anti-Japanese war was a pain in the hearts of our people. GK's president is shameless enough to stoop so low just to make money. I think If You Never Loved Me is better. Jian Tong's acting is great. I'm a fan now. You bunch of idiots, if you don't know anything, then don't say it. Love in that kind of setting is even more heart-wrenching. In Jinling, there is a great portrayal of personal love and great love for one's country. Jinling is also Nanjing. Although it recalls an unpleasant history, it also shows us the spirit of the older generation of singers who dedicated themselves to their country. If it wasn't for their sacrifice, would there still be a harmonious society today? It would have become a fucking Japanese colony long ago. I think this movie tells us not to forget national shame. You must be a paid commenter. How much did GK's President Chin pay you? 50 cents per comment. Why are you praising him so much? Fuck. The movie was meant to be entertaining, but the conflict escalated to personal attacks. Chapter 1353. Ni Yang and Mo Shui starred in Jinling City. Mo Shui hadn't changed jobs yet. The story was about the love between a young secret agent of the Communist Party and the daughter of a Japanese military officer. Ni Yang played the young secret agent, and Mo Shui played the Japanese socialite, Ishii Haruko. The two fell in love with each other in a time of war, but they had to break up because of their country's grudge. In the end, Haruko betrayed her country for her lover and saved many Chinese lives, but was shot to death. Although it was a tragedy, the plot was intense and exciting, the scenes were shocking, and the sad ending made many viewers cry. Relying on its reputation, it made a comeback at the box office. In the beginning, it only made tens of millions, but in the end, it made more than 100 million every day. In the end, it made 2 billion yuan at the box office and became the biggest dark horse of the year. The main actors, Ni Yang and Mo Shui, also became popular stars and became popular again. On the other hand, If You Never Loved Me was produced by Imperial Star and starred the top actress, Jian Tong. Jian Tong was a very likable celebrity with a good reputation in the industry and a huge fan base. The male lead was Chen Wenlei, a newcomer that Imperial Star had groomed. The story was about a couple who fell in love in college. On the night before their wedding, the girl died in a car accident and donated her heart. In the end, in order to protect the heart of the woman he loved, the man secretly approached the girl who received the new heart. The two fell in love and finally got together. Although the story was full of twists and turns, the ending was good and positive. Jian Tong was a very professional actress and her acting skills were very good. She played the girl who received the new heart very well. She won a lot of praise. In the end, If You Never Loved Me made 1.2 billion yuan at the box office. In fact, 1.2 billion yuan was a very good result. There weren't many movies that made more than 1 billion yuan at the box office. Unfortunately, it was released at the same time as GK. When the two companies were compared, it was obvious who was better. Jinling City made 800 million yuan more than If You Never Loved Me. Therefore, the fans of both companies started a war. It started on a certain movie review website. Then, it moved to the Weibo accounts of the main actors, and the war became more and more intense. That night, one of Jian Tong's fans posted a screenshot of the incident on Weibo. In the picture, she had bought the ticket for If I Had Never Loved You, but in the end, she got the ticket for Jinling City. What did this prove? It was Jinling City that stole the box office of What If. Therefore, on Weibo, fans were cursing GK Entertainment for being shameless, despicable, and despicable for stealing box office sales. She even implicated GK's president, Chin Chu. This incident attracted the attention of many media outlets. Newspapers and news outlets began to report on this matter one after another. There were even some trolls who went to Huamin's Weibo to scold him. Your husband is shameless. He operates under the table. He can't beat others, so he steals the box office. Despicable and shameless. Dr. Hua, have you asked your husband? What the hell is going on? I don't believe in stealing the box office. Jinling City is a good place to watch, Isn't it normal for the box office to be high? What's the point of being jealous of others when you can't beat them? Mian, I believe in you and your husband. You wouldn't do something like this. Why don't you ask President Qin to come out and explain? Dr. Hua, have you seen Jinling City? I heard that Ni Yang is your brother, is that true? You're so good at acting. After lunch at Southside, Huamin opened Weibo and scrolled through it. He almost went crazy. There were tons of comments and tons of people who tagged him. It was a mess. What was going on? Why did Weibo suddenly explode? After understanding the situation, Huamin found out that GK and Imperial Star were in a war of words over box office sales. Chapter 1354. Huamin replied to a fan who questioned her on Weibo, "My husband wouldn't do something like that. I believe there's a misunderstanding here. Don't get too worked up and curse at each other. Wise men don't believe in rumors." From Huamin's point of view, the people in charge of the two companies didn't do anything wrong, but the fans started to curse at them. Needless to say, Qin Chu would never do something like stealing the box office. She trusted her husband 100%. However, the fan who took the screenshot swore that Jinling City stole the box office. Was this a coincidence or intentional? Or did something happen at the movie theater? Huamin thought for a moment but didn't call Qin Chu. She felt that as his wife and not an employee of GK, if she paid too much attention to the company's affairs, people would gossip and say that the harem was interfering in politics. If that happened, Mr. Qin would be in a difficult position. After some thought, Huamin sent Ni Yang a WeChat message. "Kid, what's going on?" "Sis, don't talk about it. My Weibo has fallen as well. I really have to hand it to these trolls. I'm the lead actress, but I can't believe they're attacking me. 2 billion yuan only means that the movie looks good, but they're accusing me of stealing the box office. What a deep pool. Okay, don't think too much about it. Go home and rest early. Don't accept any media interviews at this sensitive time," Huamin reminded. "I know, sis, talk to you later." GK's Office of the President, President Qin, do you think we should release a statement to explain this? Assistant Yang asked anxiously. No, the more we explain, the worse it will get. Let them say what they want, we won't respond. Qin Chu thought that these things were boring. There was no way the theater would directly offend Su Yu and help them steal the box office. Jian Tong's fans probably saw that their idol's box office wasn't doing well, so they purposely created a war of words. Qin Chu didn't plan on doing anything about it, he thought it would blow over in a few days. However, to his surprise, the situation became more and more intense. Jian Tong's fans began to cause trouble with banners and surrounded GK's entrance. Ni Yang's car was also sprayed with flowers and eggs. The audition for GK's trip was in full swing, but it was stopped because of this. GK's security guards had been dispatched many times, but there were too many fans, so they couldn't do anything about it. Headquarters of Imperial Star, President Su, what should we do now? And asked the boss calmly. Go get Jian Tong for me. Su Yu's face darkened. At the movie premiere, he had already said that he didn't mind who he sat with. The box office was judged by the audience. Even if he lost, he would accept it wholeheartedly. He, Su Yu, was not that petty. Su Yu even secretly wore a mask to watch the midnight show in Jinling City. It was indeed very interesting. There was nothing wrong with him losing. He didn't think that Qin Chu had done anything. He didn't expect that Jian Tong's fans would take the lead and cause such a huge commotion. He didn't want things to turn out this way either. 5 minutes later. Jian Tong walked in wearing a nude-colored dress. She had long curly hair and exquisite makeup, making her look like a princess. President Su, you were looking for me. Jian Tong had always respected Su Yu. One could say that she was smart, but she was basically the type of girl who didn't care about anything. When you spoiled me, I wasn't arrogant. When you ignored me, I wasn't pessimistic. That was why Jian Tong was able to stand tall at Imperial Star all these years. She easily defeated Zhao Qingya, Annie Liang, Cotton Candy, and other popular actresses, and became the true big sister. What's wrong with your fans? Did you ask them to do this? Su Yu frowned slightly and looked up at Jian Tong. President Su, I didn't. If you're looking for me because of this, then I need to explain myself. Speak. Su Yu lowered his head and sipped his long Jing tea. Chapter 1355. I saw that fan's Weibo, and she's verified by Weibo. She's the president of my global fan club, so everyone thinks she's trustworthy. But I want to say that she didn't set up that Weibo post herself, because she's always in contact with me. She would have communicated with me before doing something like this, but it's strange. After the incident, I've messaged her a few times, but she didn't reply. I think something went wrong, and someone probably used her Weibo post to smear GK's reputation. Oh. What about the fans who caused trouble at GK? Are they not your fans? No, they are, but they're just cannon fodder. I think they were instigated by someone. So, I think this whole thing is a conspiracy. From beginning to end, they used the excuse of avenging me, but their real goal was to smear GK's reputation. So, I think I'm the scapegoat this time. Jian Tong spoke with sincerity, and so did the look in her eyes. So you had known Jian Tong for a long time, and he didn't believe that she would lie. After 5 seconds of silence, President Su, should I post a statement on Weibo right now? To prove that I have nothing to do with those crazy fans' actions. No, it'll only make people think you're the culprit, and it'll hurt the hearts of the real fans. What should we do now? Jian Tong looked at Su Yu and asked. Let's wait and see. Su Yu thought that if someone planned this on purpose, then they would be exposed. So, he decided to wait and see what other tricks they had up their sleeves. 5:50 p.m. that day, Qin Chu got off work, and as soon as he walked out of GK's headquarters, he was surrounded by people. President Qin, do you have anything to say about the rumor that GK stole the box office? President Qin. I heard that Jinling City's 2 billion yuan was fake, is that true? President Qin, do you think the screenshot posted by that fan on Weibo is real? President Qin, the box office is so high this time, will Mo Shui still get a cut after she leaves? After all, she's the female lead. President Qin, can you tell me where the idea for Jinling came from? What made you decide to make a movie about the anti-Japanese war? And it's even better than teen idol movies. President Qin, I heard that you don't have a good relationship with President Su of Imperial Star. Is it because you're his competitor? President Qin, can you accept our exclusive interview? We want to make an exclusive magazine for Jinling City. I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm off work now. Let's talk about my work tomorrow. Qin Chu looked down at his watch and replied coldly. Qin Chu had been tired all day, and he really didn't want to respond to these boring questions at the door. Therefore, he walked straight ahead, intending to get on the Maybach. At this moment, a crazy female fan rushed over with an egg in her hand. Profiteer, how dare you steal the box office? I'll beat you to death. The female fans shouted and threw eggs at him. Qin Chu reflexively raised his hand to block it, only to hear the sound of a slap. He was a little stunned because the egg did not hit him. He put down his hand and saw a woman in a white down jacket standing in front of him, catching the egg with her bare hands. The egg broke into pieces in Huamin's hand, and the eggshell and yolk were still stuck to her hand. "Wow, look, it's Mrs. Qin." The reporters became even more excited and swarmed up to the couple, completely surrounding them. Huamin raised her right hand, which still had the egg stuck to it, and slowly walked towards the fan who threw the egg at him. Then, she smiled. This smile made the female fan's hair stand on end. She felt like something was about to happen. Chapter 1356. Sure enough, Huamin wiped the sticky egg on the female fan's face with his hand. Everyone was dumbfounded. Then, Huamin took out a wet wipe from his pocket and wiped his sticky right hand. He looked at the female fan and said, "Qin Chu is my husband. Other than me, no one can bully him." Before anyone could react, she walked back and stood beside Qin Chu. She intimately held onto his arm and looked around at all the reporters. She slowly said, "I know everyone wants to ask my husband about the scandal of Jinling City stealing the box office. Let me clarify for him. You guys seem to have underestimated GK. GK is involved in many industries. Every year, we make tens of billions of yuan in real estate and jewelry. GK Entertainment is a new and immature industry, so we don't rely on it to make a lot of money. Therefore, we wouldn't do something as low as stealing the box office." Then why did Jinling City earn 800 million yuan more than If I Never Loved You when it was released at the same time? "That's ridiculous," a tabloid reporter said on purpose. Huamian smiled and continued, "You guys seem to have forgotten something. The main actors of Jinling City, Ni Yang and Mo Shui, are both A-list celebrities in China. Their appeal and influence can't be ignored. Jinling City aside, even if they were to star in any movie, as long as the quality of the movie is good, it would still be a hit. It's like saying that if you go and buy apples and oranges, you can't say which one isn't tasty, it's just a matter of personal taste. My husband and I have watched If I Never Loved You, it's also a great movie. We've always been in a healthy competition with Imperial Star. I hope you so-called fans can be a little more rational, don't try to slander your idols. Also, I'm warning you one last time, don't bully my husband. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Then, Huamin grabbed Qin Chu's hand and got into the Maybach. Everyone didn't realize what was going on until the car left. They all started taking pictures of Qin Chu's car. In front of their televisions, many people had seen the live broadcast. Huamin's mighty and domineering speech turned many people into his fans. There weren't many women who were so protective of their husbands in public. Most women would either sulk, act coquettishly, or complain. On the other hand, Huamin's domineering face and threatening tone made her look like a tough woman. Everyone was exhilarated. When the two elders of the Qin family saw the television, they heaved a sigh of relief for their son. Qin Chu's father exclaimed, "Mian is such a brave girl. Chu didn't misjudge her." Lady Qin said guiltily, "Back then, I was too narrow-minded and prejudiced against her. Otherwise, if I had successfully left the country back then, my grandson might have grown up by now. It's a good thing that Mian doesn't care about the past, she's doing this because she's good to Chu. She loves the house and its crow. We, the older generation, shouldn't make things too difficult for the younger generation." Lady Qin nodded. "Emichim, it won't happen again. Mian is a good girl. I was blind to believe Song Yisher's words in the past, and my misunderstanding of her became deeper and deeper." "Oh right, did you ask Mayor Song? What's going on with the land acquisition?" "I did." Old Song's answer was very bureaucratic. He said it was the province's decision and had nothing to do with him. Bullshit. If it has nothing to do with him, who does it have anything to do with? Last time when we were drinking at our house, he swore that the land acquisition would be ours. Now he's changed his mind. What kind of mayor is he doing? Lady Qin was a little angry. "Forget it, it's normal to give it to the Huasichen." Hua Xichen is his daughter's husband now. Their family, he can't be biased, right? Inside Su Yu's private mansion, Qi and Tang Chuan swam a few laps in the pool before going ashore. The maid handed over a towel, and Su Yu put it on and sat down on the bench to rest. Tang Chuan poked his head out of the pool and chuckled. Did you watch the video today? I did. Su Yu sipped his juice nonchalantly. Did it hurt your heart? Tang Chuan teased. Su Yu fell silent. Chapter 1357. He knew that Tang Chuan was referring to Hua Min's response of protecting her husband. It was basically a public display of affection. He originally thought that Su Yu would be extremely upset. However, to his surprise, Qin Chu calmly put the juice aside with a straw in his mouth and replied, "I'm used to it." Pfft. Tang Chuan almost choked to death on his water. He didn't know that Lord Su's heart was so strong. He was even used to Qin Chu and Hua Mian's public displays of affection. Emichim, Lord Su is easy to take care of. He has potential and potential. Tang Chuan gave him a thumbs up, then turned around and dove back into the pool. Su Yu recalled the image of Hua Min in front of the camera. She was dressed like a penguin, wearing a white down jacket with her hair in a ponytail. Just like that, she threw an egg at her fans' faces and shocked the media. However, the strange thing was that no one questioned her or discredited her because of this incident. Instead, they all thought that she did a good job and felt good about it. On the way back, Qin Chu was in an exceptionally good mood. He even started humming an English song. Hey, hey. Mr. Qin, you're in danger right now. You're surrounded by people and you're still in the mood to sing. Didn't Mrs. Qin step up and help me out? Qin Chu was proud of himself. Hua Min was speechless. Good thing I came in time, or else the egg would have fallen on you. That's not a big deal, it's just an egg, not a bomb. Qin Chu maintained his cold demeanor. Hua Min was speechless, so... I was being a busybody. No, you did a great job. Continue. Qin Chu smiled. Hua Min was dumbfounded. Continue what? Continue to protect me. Hua Min was speechless. Please, you're a man, the president of GK. Don't you have any shame? Do you need someone else to protect you? You're not someone else, you're my wife. Okay, you're right, I don't know what to say. Hua Min thought that Qin Chu had changed. He had become more open-minded. He was almost surrounded by fans, but he was still leisurely driving his car and humming a song. However, Hua Min's words was the reason why Qin Chu was so happy. In front of so many people, she said domineeringly, "No one's going to bully my husband." That scene was unbelievably handsome. Countless times in his mind, he's to be sure to see Hua Min's surprise. However, he never imagined a scene like this. Its sweetness, Mr. S. Means assistants, Hua S. Headquarters, Hunses, was, up, to be, he up to Hua, to be, S work. Therefore, he ordered everyone to work overtime for an indefinite amount of time, causing everyone to panic. He saw the video as well, and he felt extremely depressed. If only he was the one standing next to Hua Min. Now that he was protected by Hua Min for once in his life, he felt extremely happy. Hua Xichen missed the past more and more. In the past, he could visit Hua Min whenever he wanted. As long as he went near Second High, he could definitely find that girl. However, after she grew up, she was getting further and further away from him. If he had thought about his current situation, he would have gotten rid of the old man earlier. Then, he would have taken advantage of the fact that Qin Chu hadn't returned to China. The truth was, back then, when Hua Min wanted to marry her ex-boyfriend, he already had a plan. He would create an accident on the eve of the wedding so that they wouldn't be able to get married. Then, he would find the right time to get close to Hua Min. He would accompany her out of the shadows and make her rely on him. Then, he would slowly capture her heart. However, he didn't expect Chin-Chu to come back so suddenly. They were living together and getting their marriage certificate so suddenly. He remembered the night when he found out that Hwa-min and Chin-Chu had gotten married. He went crazy and smashed everything in the apartment, then. Chapter 1358. Then, he laid on the floor for an entire day. His whole body was in pain from the shards of broken glass. However, the physical pain was nothing compared to the pain of losing Hwa-min. He always thought that he appeared before Chin-Chu. Why did she choose Chin-Chu? If there was an order of appearance, then he was the first man in Hwa-min's life. Back then, Hwa-min was first brought into the Hwa mansion by Yang Meirong to cause trouble. Hwa-min was only 10 years old, but he was already 16. He thought that a 10-year-old girl entering a strange mansion would be scared, shy, excited, or curious. However, he saw incomparable calmness in Hwa-min's eyes. She leaned against a pillar at the entrance, chewing gum in her mouth. Yang Meirong and Hua Zhenghai were arguing as if she didn't care about anyone. She didn't say anything and just stood there calmly like an outsider. He still remembered that Hwa-min was wearing a white denim skirt, white sneakers, and her hair was in a ponytail. She looked so cute when she was deep in thought, just like a little adult. He curiously leaned over and asked her, "Hey, what are you doing at my house? What does it have to do with you?" Hwa-min was already arrogant as a child, and he was so captivated by her that he couldn't stop himself. Hua Xiqian felt his heart race when he looked into Hwa-min's eyes. He also knew that this was the first time in his life that he fell in love with someone. Later, he tried all kinds of ways to get in touch with Hwa-min and talk to her, but she was very hostile towards the Hua family. Whether it was Hua Yanyan, Hua Si, or Hua Xiqian, they were all the same in her eyes. Later, she went to high school, and she had Chin-Chu. All these years, Hua Xiqian never gave up. He even thought that the reason why he was so ambitious and wanted to obtain more was because he wanted to become stronger. She was so strong that one day, she could easily possess Hwa-min. Now that all these years had passed, his love was deeply rooted, buried in his heart, gradually taking root and sprouting. The name Hwa-min had become the most terrifying obsession in his heart. Hua Xiqian sat in his office with a dark expression on his face. There was a knock on the door. The assistant walked in and asked nervously, "President Hua, it's already 8 o'clock. Can everyone get off work now?" Scram! That one cold word scared the assistant so much that he almost pissed his pants. Hua Xiqian took out his phone and opened Hwa-min's WeChat. Then, he opened her WeChat moments and scrolled down, looking at each of her photos. Her smile was so beautiful, her eyes were as innocent as a child's. His fair hand gently touched the phone screen. "Mian. My Mian. Achoo, achoo." Hwa-min sneezed twice in a row. Chin-Chu thought that the heater wasn't turned on enough, so he turned it on harder. "Did you catch a cold?" "I don't think so, I'm fine." "Honey, what are we having for dinner?" Every night, having dinner with Chin-Chu had become Hwa-min's most anticipated event. "Greedy cat." Chin-Chu teased. "It's not like this is the first day you've known me," Hwa-min said proudly. Chin-Chu was speechless. Not bad, his wife knew how to apply what she learned from him. She picked up his style so quickly. "Honey, I'm going to treat you better from now on." "Why?" Chin-Chu was puzzled. Why did she suddenly say that? Did she find her conscience? Her next sentence made him want to vomit blood. "After all, marrying me proves that you have the best taste in the world, ha." Chin-Chu was speechless. When did their personalities change? Chin-Chu became calm and Hwa-min became arrogant. When they returned to South Hill Manor, Hwa-min realized that there was no dinner prepared. Just as she was about to ask Chin Chu if they wanted to eat out, Chin Chu put a cloak on Huamin. Then, he held her hand and said, "Let's go, I'll take you somewhere." "You're being mysterious again." Huamian smiled. Chapter 1359. The two of them didn't drive the Maybach when they left. Instead, they drove the Mercedes-Benz in the garage. Chin Chu and Huamin rarely used the Mercedes-Benz RV. The company also had one for picking up clients. They had bought the RV at home 3 months ago, but it hadn't been driven. It was getting old. Luckily, they finally had a chance to drive it today. The mansion was located in the middle of South Hill, so it was quite a distance from the top of the mountain. Ever since Huamin moved here, he often walked by the creek at the foot of the mountain. He rarely went up the mountain, so he didn't know what was up there. Chin Chu bought this land to build a mansion because of the beautiful scenery. Apparently, a lot of developers wanted this land. Apparently, a famous feng shui master in the country saw this place and said that the spiritual energy here was very strong. People who lived here would be rich and healthy. Chin Chu chatted with Huamin. When they talked about this, Huamin asked, "Did the feng shui master say that the spiritual energy here is very strong? Is it suitable for cultivation?" Chin Chu was speechless. His wife was such a weird girl. Chin Chu drove for about 10 minutes before they arrived at the top of the mountain. Then, he parked the car and began to move things out. "Honey, are we going to set up camp?" "No." "Then what kind of mess did you move?" "Barbecue." "Oh my God, barbecue in this weather?" Huamin was completely shocked. In the past, he often went to barbecue outdoors with Gao Ran and Zhu Lingling. But that was in summer and autumn. Who would want to barbecue in the cold winter? But Mr. Chin was stubborn. He didn't even need the help of the servants. In less than half an hour, everything was ready. In an open space at the top of the mountain, Chin Chu cleared the white snow and propped up the iron stove. He turned on the fire and barbecue. There were beef kebabs, lamb kebabs, bone meat skewers, chicken wings, drumsticks, ham bread, and even Huamin's favorite roasted corn. The most surprising thing was that it was actually a locally produced soda. Huamin had this kind of soda when he was young. Now, it was 3 yuan a can, and it was delicious. "Hubby, you're so virtuous." Huamin hugged Chin Chu's waist from behind and began to act coquettishly. Chin Chu covered Huamin's hand with one hand and coaxed her, "Honey, it's too cold outside. Get in the car and wait. When it's done, I'll call you." "No, I want to stay with you." Huamin was determined not to leave. No wonder before going out, Chin Chu had repeatedly told her to wear an outdoor mountaineering jacket of a certain brand. So it turned out that they were going to do something so exciting. The winter nights in the north were brutal, and the temperature could drop to 20 degrees below zero. Southern girls couldn't stand this kind of weather, but the good thing was that the local kids were completely used to it. The couple's mountaineering outfits, one red and the other black, looked especially good on them. Huamin naughtily put the scarf around her neck around Chin Chu's neck. Instantly, Chin Chu's aura rose to another level. "Honey, don't be naughty, be a good girl and go play somewhere else." Chin Chu focused on roasting meat while taking care of Huamin. He was really worried sick. In the end, Huamin got bored and went to make a snowman. By the time Chin Chu finished roasting the meat, Huamian had also finished making the snowman. Luckily, Chin Chu brought a lot of vegetables in the car. He was going to roast it, but Huamian used 2 green peppers as eyes. She also used red peppers as the nose. The funniest thing was that she took off her red woolen hat and put it on the snowman. "Hubby, look." Huamin was like a child showing off to Chin Chu. Chin Chu turned around and smiled. Chapter 1360. Is it pretty? Yeah, it's pretty. Is she pretty or am I pretty? You're pretty, so you're saying that my snowman isn't pretty. Huamin pouted. She's pretty. Chin Chu immediately changed his words. So you're saying that I'm not as pretty as a snowman? Huamin's face was still dark. You're both pretty. Chin Chu cleverly changed his words again. So you're saying that I'm as pretty as a snowman? Oh my god. I'm really going to kneel down. Chin Chu was completely convinced. Ha ha ha. Huamian, on the other hand, laughed hysterically. Bickering with the black-bellied Mr. Chin was a lot of fun. Seeing Chin Chu laugh helplessly, Huamin felt a sense of superiority. When the skewers were done, Chin Chu was afraid that Huamin would feel cold, so he wanted to take them to the RV to eat. However, Huamin insisted on eating outside because it was rare for them to be in such a mood. The night sky, the snowman, the night view, the barbecue, and her beloved husband. Chin Chu was afraid that Huamin would feel cold, so he carefully took out some wood and started a bonfire. Instantly, it warmed up a lot. The two of them sat around the bonfire, eating delicious skewers and drinking soda from when they were little. Huamin leaned on Chin Chu's shoulder in satisfaction. Honey. I'm very happy right now. Me too. I want to be happy forever. I really do. Huamin tightly grabbed onto Chin Chu's shirt. She was a very insecure person. Every time she was at her happiest, she would be afraid of losing something. We will, as long as you want, we'll be like this forever. Chin Chu tightly hugged Huamin's waist. Honey, let's play a game. What game? It means that we will ask each other questions, and the one who answers incorrectly will be flicked on the head by the other party, okay? Okay. Seeing Huamin's attitude, Chin Chu gladly agreed. Huamin immediately turned his head to face Chin Chu. Then, he took a greedy bite of the chicken wing and said, Where did we first meet? During the military training in the first year of high school, I was on the field. Chin Chu remembered that day when Huamin came in late with her backpack. The instructor was very dissatisfied and punished her to run one lap first. In the end, she vowed that she couldn't run because her period came. At that time, the male instructor was very embarrassed. Now that he thought about it, Huamin was not only a genius when she was in school, but also a troublemaker. The answer is correct. Then ask me. Huamin was full of anticipation. Our first class is. Lin Sanjiu said. Before Chin Chu could finish his sentence, Huamin couldn't wait to answer, Chinese. Our first class in the first year of high school was Chinese. What I want to ask is, during our first class, how many questions did the Chinese teacher ask to the students? Damn, is that even possible? Huamin thought that Chin Chu was crazy. How could he ask such a scary question? It had been so long ago, and they weren't familiar with the first class yet. How could she remember how many questions the Chinese teacher asked? You lost, right? Chin Chu came over and was about to flick her. However, Huamin stopped him with both hands. What, you can't afford to lose. Chin Chu smirked. No, for the sake of fairness, you should tell me the answer first. Don't ask a question that you don't even know the answer to, that's not okay. Okay, then I'll convince you. Listen carefully. During our first class, the Chinese teacher asked 3 students questions. They were Du Chunyu in the first row, Zhang Bai Yan on the left in the third row, and Zhu Lingling on the left in the second row. Oh, right, I remember now. Lingling complained that the Chinese teacher didn't like her and purposely picked on her. Oh my god, how do you have such a good memory? I'm in awe. Huamin lowered her head and leaned over. She closed her eyes and waited for Mr. Chin to torture her. She thought that Mr. Chin would go easy on her because they were husband and wife, but who would have thought? Unexpectedly, it hurts. Huamin covered her head and looked at Chin Chu with dissatisfaction. Why are you being so serious? Huamin cried. Chapter 1361. Just make it hurt. If you don't listen to me in the future, I'll punish you like this. Huamin pouted. Then, she heard Chin Chu continue. You can't avoid being whipped either, Huamin. If you don't like it, let's do it again. Let me ask you. Huamin played with all her might and lost to Chin Chu 5 times in a row. Mr. Chin didn't go easy on her at all, but she had a lot of fun. As they ate and played, they finally had their fill, and drank their fill. Huamin leaned on Chin Chu's shoulder happily. She didn't even have time to think about taking pictures and posting them on WeChat. When you're truly happy, you just want to enjoy every second of it. You don't want to show off your happiness to others. Honey, are we all going to die? If one day we're old, and I die first, will you miss me? No, after you die, I'll find another old lady. Damn it, are you that heartless? Huamin pushed him unhappily. So, don't die before me. If I die first, you can do whatever you want, and then you can find an old man to enjoy. Chin Chu teased her on purpose. To his surprise, Huamin's eyes turned red. She held Chin Chu's face in her hands and said seriously, I don't want to find an old man. No one in this world will love me more than you. No one will occupy my heart. I don't want you to die. You have to live well, and don't leave me. If we really die, let's go together, that way, we can cross the bridge of forgetfulness together, drink Granny Meng's soup together, reincarnate together, and then we can still be together in our next life. Then, before Chin Chu could say anything, Huamin kissed him. This kiss was extremely lingering. The bonfire next to them crackled, the flames flickered as if they were dancing, the interior of the Mercedes-Benz RV illuminated the surroundings, emitting a warm light. Huamin felt that every second that Chin Chu was by her side was happiness. She seemed to have endless things to say to him. Chin Chu stood up and carried Huamin into the limousine. Then, he closed the door. The design of the bed and the car was perfect. The two of them were so deeply in love that they could only remember how to make love. He only wanted to invade the other party, as if he wanted to merge himself into the depths of the other party's soul. Over an hour later, the two of them lay on the big bed, panting. They leaned against each other and looked at the stars in the panoramic skylight. The night sky is so beautiful. Huamin smiled and sighed. No matter how beautiful the night is, it's not as beautiful as my wife. Chin Chu turned around and gently stroked Huamin's face. You're such a sweet talker. You're going to spoil me. If you're going to spoil me, then so be it. I don't plan on changing you anyways. I want you in this life, whether you're arrogant or gentle and quiet, whether you're domineering or petite and cute, in short, you belong to the Chin family. Are you saying that I'm a member of the Chin family in life and a ghost in death? Huamin couldn't help but laugh. Yes. I'll reserve you in my next life as well, no one can take you from me. Mr. Chin, you're so domineering. Is this your first day meeting me? Chin Chu said proudly. Huamin smiled happily, then buried his head in Chin Chu's chest and fell asleep. Good night, honey, good night, Mian. Chin Chu lowered his head and kissed Huamin's forehead. Just like that, the two of them looked at the stars on top of the mountain and spent a romantic night. The next morning, the couple went to work together. When Chin Chu arrived at the company, he saw his assistant, Yang, waiting at the door with a bad expression on his face. What's wrong? Sir, something happened at the company in T-City. Yang was very anxious. Come in and talk. Then, Yang followed Qin Chu into the president's office. Chapter 1362. Assistant Yang handed him a piece of information. Qin Chu's expression didn't change after reading it. When did the news come out? Qin Chu asked. This morning. Where's the person in charge? General Manager Jiang Linyue, can't be reached. Can't be reached? What do you mean? Qin Chu raised his head and frowned slightly. I called her cell phone, but I couldn't get through. No one picked up the landline either. The people at the company said that General Manager Jiang hasn't been here in 3 days. No one called the police when she went missing. Assistant Yang lowered his head. Sir, what should we do now? Try to find a way to contact Jiang Linyue. I have to know what happened over there. Ever since Qin Chu transferred Jiang Linyue to the subsidiary company, he didn't assign any important projects to the company. He was afraid that something would go wrong because of her. Even so, something still went wrong. Assistant Yang was very nervous, however, Qin Chu wasn't. As the head of a huge financial group, he wasn't going to make a big deal out of it. Wasn't it just a forced demolition scandal at the subsidiary company? However, the fact that Jiang Linyue went missing was quite strange. Did something really happen to her? Qin Chu had a feeling that things weren't as simple as they seemed. That night, after work, Qin Chu called Huamin in advance to tell her that he had to work overtime, so he told her to go eat or go home first. Qin Chu didn't want Huamin to come to the company to accompany him after working all day. Huamin understood what Qin Chu meant, so he didn't force her and nodded in agreement. Then, when he drove past a Sichuan restaurant after work, Qin Chu stopped his car and went in to order a few dishes. He often ate with Mr. Qin, so he wasn't used to eating alone. Huamin ordered 4 dishes and a soup, then quietly ate his rice. Hua Xiqian's Rolls-Royce Phantom happened to pass by this road. When he saw the familiar Audi R8, he suddenly stopped his car. Do you want to eat Sichuan food? Hua Xiqian turned his head and asked Wang Shasha. Didn't you say you were going to Cantonese cuisine? Wang Shasha asked nervously. You changed your mind again. Oh, okay, whatever you say. Wang Shasha was a little afraid of Hua Xiqian. So when they went out, no matter what they bought, they didn't dare to have their own opinions. She also didn't know why Hua Xiqian would suddenly stop the car in front of this small Sichuan restaurant. When Hua Xiqian came in, he didn't greet Huamin. Instead, he sat beside the window with Wang Shasha. 15 minutes later, Huamin finished eating and called for the waiter. Pay the bill. Someone has already bought it for you. Who bought it for me? Huamin was stunned. The gentleman by the window. The waiter pointed at Hua Xiqian, who was wearing a coffee-colored European jacket. Hua Xiqian happened to look over and saw Huamin looking at him. He smiled and waved his hand. Huamin's eyes gradually dimmed. How much is this? She asked the waiter. It's a total of 288 yuan. Okay, I got it. Huamin then stood up, took out 300 yuan from her bag, and walked towards Hua Xiqian. Mr. Hua, thank you for paying for me, but I don't like to owe people favors. After speaking, Huamin placed the 300 yuan on the table in front of Hua Xiqian. Are you mad because I opened Hua Entertainment and stole people from GK? Hua Xiqian narrowed his eyes and smiled at Huamin. You're overthinking it, Mr. Hua. Ha, you're still so stubborn. I'm just mad, but I'm curious. Su Yu is GK's competitor, and he's taking GK seriously. Why don't you hate him as well? I'm heartbroken that you treat me like this. Hua Xiqian smiled. Chapter 1363. Hua Min smiled and looked at Hua Xichen. Mr. Hua, you're exaggerating. Yu isn't as capable as you are. He's not a despicable person who would use underhanded methods. After all, everyone is different, right? Mr. Hua, you're different. You're so capable that you can make GK's artists leave in an instant. But that also means that you have prestige. I wish your company great success in the future, and I also wish you and this beauty a happy dinner. Oh, right, I think you're married. Miss Song Yi sure wouldn't mind you bringing a beauty out like this, would she? After speaking, before Hua Xichen could say anything, Hua Min turned around and left. He only left behind the 300 yuan bills. Hua Xichen wasn't angry. He was used to seeing Hua Min angry, so he thought it was pretty cute. You're still the same, always full of thorns when you're angry. Hua Xichen shook his head with a smile, his eyes full of love. Mr. Hua, who is she? Wang Sha had been with Hua Xichen for a while now, but this was the first time she saw a woman who dared to talk to him like this. She was surprised that he wasn't angry. Shut up if you shouldn't ask, Hua Xichen said coldly. She carefully placed the 300 yuan that Hua Min left behind in her wallet. Wang Sha didn't dare to ask any more questions, but she vaguely felt that this woman meant something to Hua Xichen. Yu hadn't seen Hua Min in a long time, and he missed her very much. He could only find traces of her through TV and newspapers. He even scrolled through Weibo constantly, but she never updated. During lunch, he ate with Tang Chuan and Wei Liao at a seafood restaurant. Yu was so listless that he wasn't even in the mood to eat lobster. Lord Su, what's wrong? Did he have a wet dream last night? Tang Chuan asked. Wei Liao almost spat out the seafood soup in his mouth. That's too much information, you'll teach the child the wrong things. You're not allowed to see my son again. Wei Liao warned. Seriously, what's wrong with Lord Su lately? He's irritated for a few days every month, it's like he's on his period. Yu was about to eat the lobster with his fork when he heard Tang Chuan's words. He raised his fork. What? Tang Chuan said. He immediately, with a smile on his face, he's and not. Was, Su, he's, Hua, Su, Hua Xichen says, was. That's easy. Let's go to South Side and look for him, Tang Chuan suggested. Hua Min doesn't just go around looking for him, he needs a reason, Wei Liao interrupted. Yu looked up at Tang Chuan and asked, does your family have a history of mental illness? No, why? I want Dr. Hua to run a checkup for you. Fuck, how did you even think of that? Tang Chuan was about to faint. Although Hua Min was a neurologist, he couldn't just ask him to run a checkup for him. Mental illness? How could he even think of that? Wei Liao was laughing so hard that he was about to cramp up. Oh right, Lord Su, now that Hua Entertainment is trying so hard to get a piece of your pie, aren't you going to teach them a lesson? I'm not that kind of despicable person. If Hua Xichen has the ability, then let him do it. There's no end to the money, so whoever has the ability can do it. I'm not afraid of competitors. In fact, if there's no one to play with, then I'll be bored. Yu took a sip of his draft beer as he spoke. After having lunch with Wei Liao and Tang Chuan, they went back to their respective companies. In the afternoon, Yu got off work early, but he couldn't wait any longer and went to South Side. However, he didn't drive his own car. Instead, he drove the company's black Mercedes-Benz business car. Then, he parked it in the parking lot outside South Side. Hua Min got off work at 5:30 p.m. sharp. When she walked out, she felt a little cold. She stood at the door and tied her scarf around her neck. Then, she got into her Audi R8 and drove off. She had no idea that someone actually ran all the way from the city to the suburbs just to catch a glimpse of her from afar. It didn't even take a minute, however, Yu was satisfied. After Hua Min left, he slowly left 10 minutes later. After Huamin got off work, she didn't go back to the mansion. Instead, she went to the supermarket to buy some fruits and vegetables for her mother to send to Sky Blessing Court. However, at the entrance of a supermarket in the city, she saw someone she hadn't seen in a long time. Huamin was slightly surprised at first. Then, she parked her car and walked up. Chapter 1364. When Ning Ziyuan saw Huamin, he was clearly dumbfounded. "How have you been?" Huamin greeted him calmly. "I'm not bad." For some reason, Ning Ziyuan felt more and more distant from Huamin. He didn't even dare to look at her. He didn't have the confidence to do so. Who knew what he was feeling guilty about? "Did you find a job?" Huamin knew that Ning Ziyuan and he man were together for a period of time. They lost a lot of money gambling, and their lives were miserable. This caused Ning Ziyuan to work at some black-hearted clinics, making him look like a ghost. "I found one. I'm working at a pharmacy." Ning Ziyuan sounded a little tired. Nowadays, a lot of big pharmacies would hire doctors to treat patients in order to sell their drugs better. Ning Ziyuan had fallen to the point where he had to treat patients in big pharmacies. To be honest, Huamin felt quite sad. "A few days ago, Xiaoxue called me," Huamin said quietly. Upon hearing Wu Xiaoxue's name, Ning Ziyuan's body trembled slightly. "She and the baby are doing well, and Xingyue is a good girl." "Oh, really?" Ning Ziyuan felt a little awkward. After all, he had done so many things to Wu Xiaoxue. Now that he mentioned his daughter and the baby, he felt a lot of guilt. "Xiaoxue also asked me to ask you." Huamian paused for a second. "Ask me what?" Ning Ziyuan raised his head. He didn't dare to look Huamin in the eye. "She asked if you were willing to go to Chicago," Huamin said faintly. Ning Ziyuan's eyes widened. He didn't seem to understand what Huamin meant. "What she means is, she wants you to go to America with them." Can I? Ning Ziyuan's voice was a little dry. Even he couldn't believe it. "Maybe she's willing to give you one last chance for the sake of your daughter." Huamin stared into Ning Ziyuan's eyes and said word by word. Ning Ziyuan shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I'm afraid I can't. I'm not a good husband, and I'm not a good father. I've let them down, and I'll be useless if I go to the States. Do you know what I despise most about you?" Huamin questioned coldly. Ning Ziyuan lowered his head and didn't say anything. "What I despise most isn't your lack of money or your poor family background, but your constant denial and self-abandonment. There are a lot of things you think you can't do before you even do them. As time passes, you'll really think you can't do anything." Ziyuan, men and women are different. Women want stability, but men want to go out and fight. You're still young, and you still have a long way to go. If you give up on yourself like this, how can you face Uncle and Auntie Ning, who raised you? They're old now. It's not easy for them, and you're their only son. I hope you can stop being so selfish and think about those who deserve your love and those who deserve your fight." After speaking, Huamin took out a sticky note from his bag, wrote a number on it, and handed it to Ning Ziyuan. "This is Xiaoxue's number in Chicago. If you've made up your mind, call her. You can decide for yourself what your future will be like." Huamin passed on the message and said everything that needed to be said. She hoped that Ning Ziyuan would have an epiphany as soon as possible. He didn't want to live his life in such a muddle-headed state. In Zhu Lingling's words, Ning Ziyuan obviously had a good hand, but he played it so badly. The Wu family was such a good family, and Wu Xiaoxue loved him so much. They even had a smart and cute little daughter. He was also an ophthalmologist, but now, he had fallen to such a state. It was unbelievable. After Huamin left, she went straight to the supermarket and bought a lot of food and fruit. When she came out with shopping bags, Ning Ziyuan was long gone. Huamin didn't know what he was going to do, and she didn't want to guess. She believed that an adult, unless there was something wrong with his brain, would choose the path that he wanted to take in his life. On the way back, she put on her Bluetooth headset and called Chin Chu. "Honey. I'm a little like a Mary Sue today, what's wrong?" Chin Chu asked gently. Chapter 1365. Huamin told him about how she met Ning Ziyuan. "You're not a Mary Sue, you were asked to do this." Chin Chu chuckled after he finished speaking. "What are you laughing at?" "Honey, you're getting better at persuading people. If you practice a little more, you can go to the marketing department and brainwash people." Now that you've put it like this, if Ning Ziyuan still gives up on his last chance to go to the States, then he's probably under a spell. Ta. Mr. Chin, you're still as black-bellied as ever. You don't even need to curse. Okay, let's not talk about him. Anyway, I've done what Xiao Shua asked me to do and fulfilled her wish. I'm going to Sky Blessing Court to have dinner with Mom. Will you come over later? I'm not sure yet, I still have a lot of things to take care of at the company. Stay with Mom. Okay, come pick me up when you're done. Okay. After hanging up, Huamin drove straight to Sky Blessing Court. After Jixin returned to New Zealand, her mother was all alone again. Huamin always felt that her mother was very lonely. Although she had a big house and a lot of money, she didn't lack anything. She just felt that her mother wasn't happy. She had never talked to her about anything too personal, but today, Huamin wanted to take the opportunity to talk to her mother alone. "Mian, you bought so much, I can't finish it all." Her mother scolded her. Then, she took the bags from her daughter's hands. Finally, she washed a lot of fruits for Huamin. The mother and daughter sat on the sofa in the living room and chatted. "Mian, are you still taking your Chinese medicine?" "I'm still taking it, Mom. I know how to take care of my body. I've been preparing for pregnancy, ready to welcome the arrival of a new life." Huamin smiled optimistically. "My child, how can you still be in the mood to smile?" Yang Meirong looked at her daughter with heartache. "Mom, don't worry about me, what's coming will come." Huamin was already in a good mood, so she didn't want her mother to worry about her all the time. "Is Chu busy recently?" "Quite busy. There's a lot of stuff going on," Huamin replied after taking a sip of fruit juice. "Then you should help him when you have time. After all, it's his family's business. Your in-laws are old, and Chin Chu can't manage such a big company by himself. He doesn't have any siblings." "I know, Mom. Once Jixin finishes his studies, he'll be able to help Chin Chu. Chin Chu loves Jixin so much. They're so close," Huamin said with a smile. Chin Chu was a person who had no feelings for anyone other than Huamin. However, he loved Jixin very much. Because Huamin loved his younger brother, Chin Chu loved him even more. In New Zealand, not only did Jixin pay for his tuition, but his living expenses were also covered by his brother-in-law. Jixin's living expenses of 1 million yuan a month were shocking. The good thing was that Jixin was very sensible and never spent money recklessly. He saved it up and planned to repay GK when he returned to China. Yang Meirong smiled at the mention of Jixin. Jixin's all grown up now, and he's a lot more sensible. It'd be great if he could help Chu out at the company. That way, he'd be able to relax a lot. "Mom, are you happy now?" Huamin asked tentatively when he saw that it was about time. "I'm pretty happy. I don't have to worry about you and Jixin anymore, and I even live in a big house. Compared to the small courtyard I used to live in, I'm so much happier now. I don't lack money, and I have everything I want to eat. Auntie Wu and the others are all jealous of me." Yang Meirong smiled from the bottom of her heart. However, Huamin still felt bad for his mother. After all, she was only in her 50s. Mom. I think that even though you don't lack money, you're still pretty lonely mentally. Mentally? Yang Meirong was slightly surprised. Chapter 1366. Huamin nodded. I'll be honest with you, Mom, you should go out more often. If Auntie Wu and the others have suitable uncles, I hope they can keep an eye out for you. I didn't know that you were alone in your old age. Living alone is very lonely. You're not used to being with me and Qin Chu, and you don't want to live with Jixin all the time. If this continues, you'll feel more and more lonely. No matter how filial your children are, they're not as good as a caring partner. So, Mom, I hope that you can find someone who truly loves and cares for you, and spend the rest of your life with him. After Huamin finished speaking, Yang Meirong was completely dumbfounded. You, what nonsense are you talking about? Mom. I'm not talking nonsense. Don't be embarrassed, I understand your situation. Ever since Uncle Jing passed away, you've been supporting me and Jixin with your convenience store. We love you very much. We definitely didn't mean to push you to find a partner. From the bottom of our hearts, we really want you to live a happier life. Silly child, I'm already so old. If word gets out, it'll be so embarrassing. It'll be a disgrace to you and Qin Chu. Yang Meirong sighed heavily. The truth was, she had thought about finding a partner before. Her neighbors had all mentioned before that she didn't want her children to suffer because they were young. Now that Huamin and Jixin were both grown up, she didn't have to think so much anymore, but now, she felt embarrassed. She thought that this would be a disgrace to her children and that it would be a disgrace to them. Especially when her son-in-law was a famous and successful man. In short, there were too many concerns that she didn't dare to entertain such thoughts. Never in her wildest dreams did she think that Huamin would take the initiative to bring this up. Mom, what day and age are we living in? What do you mean disgrace? Isn't it normal to care for the elderly? Besides, those who keep mistresses, find mistresses, and have moral problems are the ones who are really discreditable. You are upright, and you lost your spouse when you were young. What's wrong with finding a partner that you can get along with? Don't listen to other people's nonsense. Anyway, Jixin and I are very supportive of you. In the future, if Auntie Wu and Auntie Lu ask you again, just go and meet them. Don't reject them immediately. That won't do. Before Yang Meirong could finish her sentence, Huamin changed the topic. Mom. I'm a bit hungry. Then I'll go and cook now. What do you want to eat? The radish meatball soup you made. Huamin looked at his mother and pretended to be pitiful. Okay, then I'll make pancakes and radish meatball soup for you. As soon as she heard her daughter say she was hungry, Yang Meirong immediately ran into the kitchen. Huamin felt that his first attempt at brainwashing his mother was a success. He hoped that she could put aside her worldly views and really think about her own happy life. But according to his mother's traditional way of thinking, if he had to continue talking to her about these things, she might not be able to accept it in a short period of time. Huamin was leisurely eating fruits and playing with his phone. Suddenly, a piece of news popped up. Big news, big news. A famous male artist from GK was detained by the police for fighting in the underworld. According to reports, the big movie that was supposed to be released tomorrow was also banned by the Radio, Film and Television Bureau. Huamin's heart skipped a beat when he saw this. Then, he saw netizens commenting below. I heard that Imperial Star's portrait of the country and beauty will also be released tomorrow. I wonder if GK really got into a scandal this time or if they were set up. Maybe someone from Imperial Star set them up on purpose. Some netizens even cursed, Suyu is a despicable person who keeps slandering my Prince Charming Qin. Just as Huamin saw this, his phone received a WeChat message. Mian, is it true that a celebrity from your company got into a fight? The person who sent the WeChat message was Xiaowei. Jiang Xiaowei didn't like to follow the happenings in the entertainment industry, but since she took the initiative to ask this time, Min felt that there was something else going on. Xiaowei, did you hear other rumors? Min reacted quickly and asked Xiaowei back. Chapter 1367. Yeah, a little. After Jiang Xiaowei said this, she decided to video call Min. Min was afraid that his mother would be worried if she heard negative news about the company, so he went upstairs to pick her up. Xiaowei, Min, is it true that Wang Xiefeng beat someone up? Jiang Xiaowei asked directly. Min wasn't familiar with the new artists in the company. Other than Ni Yang, he didn't know the names of the other artists. Therefore, when he occasionally heard the name Wang Xiefeng, he was quite confused. I don't know yet, I haven't asked my husband yet. I just saw the news on my phone, but according to the exposure rate, it shouldn't be fake. The media that reported it is Nandu Daily, the kind that is very authoritative. I think so too, that's why I asked you. Do you know who owns the place where Wang Xiefeng got into trouble? Jiang Xiaowei asked quietly. Min shook his head. I really didn't pay attention. The place where he got drunk and beat someone up is owned by Imperial Star, Lord Su. Oh, what a coincidence. Yeah, so there are already rumors on the internet that Lord Su's company planned this, and their goal. Before Jiang Xiaowei could finish, Min immediately understood what she meant, so he took the initiative to finish her sentence. To create hype for the upcoming release of the Portrait of the Country and Beauty. You know about it? Jiang Xiaowei asked. I saw netizens scolding Su Yu, saying that they have a new movie coming out. I think, a lot of people think so. What about you? What do you think? Don't you think that it's very sensitive to expose something like this at a time like this? Last time, Lord Su's movie lost to you guys at the box office, and his fans even caused trouble, but you were smart enough to suppress it and let it go. Yeah, I remember. What about this time? What do you think? Do you think Lord Su did something underhanded? Jiang Xiaowei asked tentatively. No. Su Yu wouldn't do something so lowly. The reason why there are so many conflicts is definitely not a coincidence. Someone must be deliberately creating conflicts and pointing the finger at Su Yu. Yeah, it must be someone else's scheme. Let him be the scapegoat. That's what I was thinking. Jiang Xiaowei was happy that Min understood the situation immediately. She wouldn't follow the trend and suspect anything just because of what others said. Wasn't someone who would easily trust others, but he was also not someone who would always suspect others. I don't know the details yet, I'll talk to my husband later. Okay, I don't have anything else to say. I just wanted to tell you not to trust the trolls on the internet. I haven't known Su Yu for a long time, but, after I married Wei Liao, I've been in contact with him a lot. I'm a psychologist, so I can see through people. Lord Su can be very simple sometimes, and sometimes he can be impulsive and childish, but he would never do something so despicable for profit. Not only Qin Chu, but he wouldn't do something like that even if it were his competitors, because with his arrogant temper, he wouldn't do something like that. Yeah, I believe him, Xiaowei. Thank you for telling me so much. Don't mention it, we don't have to thank each other. There's been a lot going on lately. I feel like someone is targeting Qin Chu. You and your wife should be careful. If you need help from Wei Liao Nai, don't hesitate to ask. Okay. He nodded and hung up the video call with Xiaowei. Just as their mother finished cooking, Min came downstairs. She didn't mention a word about the company. She had a great appetite and ate a lot of her mother's pancakes and radish ball soup. Then, she had a good night's sleep. She slept all the way until Qin Chu came to pick her up. Yang Meirong really liked Qin Chu, so when Qin Chu came over that night, she made a few more dishes. The couple didn't drive home until they finished eating. On the way home, Wamin lazily held on to Qin Chu's arm. "Honey, the news said that the male artist from our company beat someone up. Is that true?" Chapter 1368. Yeah. Qin Chu nodded. The media is spreading the news like crazy. They're saying that it's because of the negative news about him hitting someone, so our new movie is ruined. In theory, that's what happened. He did hit someone and was detained. The company already took care of it, but it's not something that can be decided in a day or two. This movie hasn't been approved by the State Administration of Radio, Film and Television. They said it has sensitive scenes. Sensitive scenes. Could it be sex? Huamin's imagination ran wild. Qin Chu dotingly poked her head with his finger. "What's going on in that head of yours?" "It's not like that. It's because some of the material said that history was tampered with. But history is something that happened thousands of years ago. Who knows if it's true or not? It's just those so-called experts who jumped out to criticize. It doesn't matter. It's just a movie. I don't care." "What happened to the artist who hit someone? Did he get fired?" Huamin was a little worried. "No. Actually, it's not his fault. He was instigated by someone. It's obvious that it's a trap. Wang Xiefeng is still young, he just debuted. He's even younger than Ni Yang. He doesn't understand these things. Although Qin Chu was a big boss, he was very protective of the artists under his company. He was also very good at distinguishing between right and wrong." "I see. It seems like Xiao Wei's analysis was right. Someone has been targeting you recently." "I know." Qin Chu appeared very calm. "Honey, do you think Suyu did it?" "How is that possible? If Suyu did it, why would he use his own territory to cause trouble? If he was that smart, he wouldn't be my opponent." As Suyu's #1 opponent, Qin Chu actually trusted Suyu. This made Huamin feel very comforted. However, the rumors outside were very ridiculous. They even became very intense. Inside the Song mansion, Hua Xiqian was having dinner with Mayor Song, and Song Yisher was there as well. It was a very strange scene. In front of the Song family, Song Yisher didn't have to pretend to be in love with him. Therefore, even if they ate at the same table, they sat far away from each other. "Xiqian, I heard that you've been building a high-end residential area on that piece of land." Mayor Song slowly said, "Yes, father-in-law. I'm imitating the Palm Island in Dubai and building Sea City's high-end residential area on a man-made lake. Who would buy such a luxurious building?" Mayor Song didn't seem to agree with Hua Xiqian. "There are a lot of super rich people in our city. Don't worry, it'll sell like hotcakes. Thanks to father-in-law for the land." Just then, Song Yisher rolled her eyes at Hua Xiqian. "Dad, how can you go back on your words? When I went to visit Mama Qin the other day, she didn't even want to talk to me. She even said that you broke her and her father's heart. If you don't want to marry Qin Chu, then you shouldn't have made that promise. What's going on now?" Before Mayor Song could explain, Hua Xiqian smiled and said, "Father-in-law likes me and loves me. We're family." "There's nothing wrong with that," Mayor Song smiled awkwardly. Sure, you don't understand business, and I wasn't the only one who made this decision. Everyone just thought that the whole corporation would do a better job. After all, GK is now fully developed and doesn't only focus on property. Therefore, we made the decision based on the actual situation. We're not targeting anyone. Excuses, they're all excuses. Hua Xiqian, when are we getting a divorce? I really don't want to keep this up anymore, it feels like years. We shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. Song Yisha wanted to divorce Hua Xiqian immediately, so she asked again in front of her parents. Chapter 1369. There's no rush, it's not time yet. Sure, I didn't treat you badly. Why are you in such a hurry? Hua Xiqian's smile was a little creepy, it made Song Yisha's scalp tingle. We were just putting on a show. There's no love between us, it's all about benefits. Don't make yourself sound so great. Disgusting. You guys eat, I'm not hungry. Then, Song Yisha turned around and went upstairs. Hua Xiqian was left behind, chatting with Mayor Song as they ate. Seeing that there was no one else around, Mayor Song lowered his voice and asked, Xiqian, about that thing, don't worry, I won't tell anyone. I won't tell Sure or my mother-in-law either. Father-in-law treats me so well, how could I be ungrateful? Hua Xiqian smiled meaningfully. Mayor Song didn't think that at his age, he would be threatened by a young man. He was even more curious about how Hua Xiqian managed to find out about him when he had been so secretive about it. If it wasn't for the fact that Hua Xiqian had something on him, he wouldn't have given that piece of land to the Hua Corporation, even if Hua Xiqian was his son-in-law. Breaking his promise to Qin Chu greatly damaged Mayor Song's image. The good thing was that Qin Chu didn't hold it against him, but Mayor Song began to feel uneasy. He felt like he was being led by the nose, and this was just the beginning of his life. He didn't know what Hua Xiqian would do in the future. After leaving the Song mansion, Hua Xiqian got into his Rolls-Royce Phantom. As he drove onto the third ring road, he looked into the rearview mirror and smiled. 10 minutes, 3 different cars tailing me. You guys even used the same tactics as the major crimes unit used to track suspects. You guys sure are willing to spend a lot of effort on me. No matter how meticulous they were, they still couldn't escape Hua Xiqian's eyes. Hua Xiqian led the cars around the overpass 3 times. Hua Xiqian abruptly passed through a bridge and entered a small alley. His movements were so fast that he simply left those trailing behind him in the dust. He did not want to investigate who had sent him. Was it Qin Chu or Suyu? The most important thing for him now was to find a way to defeat Qin Chu bit by bit and bring Mian to his side. He felt that he was a very calm person. However, the closer they were to their goal, the more impatient they became. It was as if he didn't want to wait a second longer. He was looking forward to seeing Mian by his side, holding on to him as intimately as she held on to Qin Chu's arm. At the thought of this, Hua Xiqian couldn't hold back his excitement and his heart began to beat faster. Huamin was a dream he had been planning for many years. No one knew how much manpower and material resources he had spent over the years to set up this great plan. If it weren't for this distraction, he would have kicked out the old man and Shinjiani a long time ago. Everything was because of Huamin that many of his plans had been delayed. Mian. I'm looking forward to the day you're by my side. Hua Xiqian lowered his head and gently kissed the photo of Huamin in his hand. His gaze was filled with endless gentleness. Inside a private apartment, Wang Shasha was wearing a sexy white nightgown as she waited for Hua Xiqian to arrive. When she heard the sound of keys unlocking the door, she stood up nervously. Her good friend told her that all men were lustful as long as they dressed seductively and took the initiative. She wasn't afraid that he would be able to resist if she was just a little bit flirtatious. Wang Shasha gathered her courage and walked over, wrapping her arms around Hua Xiqian's neck. She said coquettishly, President Hua. I've been waiting for you for a long time. I missed you so much. Her voice was soft and velvety. It was the kind of voice that would make a man's bones melt. The white nightgown was very transparent, and her white skin was faintly discernible. It was indeed perfect. She felt that she had to do something with Hua Xiqian today. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to sleep well. Her lips slowly approached Hua Xiqian's slightly cold lips. Chapter 1370. Just as she was about to kiss Hua Xiqian, suddenly, he pushed her away. look at you. What are you wearing? Are you a cheap prostitute? She'll never dress like you. Hua Xiqian's face darkened. Wang Shasha was pushed so hard that she fell to the ground and couldn't get up. Her knees and hands hurt. Hua Xiqian didn't have any intention of helping her up. She was a little angry and impulsive. She yelled at Hua Xiqian, "Who the hell is she? If you like her, then go after her. What's the point of using me as a substitute? Fakes are fakes, they're never real. You're a big shot, you don't have to lie to yourself like this, do you?" Hua Xiqian's face turned completely cold. He walked towards her, one step at a time. Wang Shasha was so scared that she crawled back. She was really scared of this man. Hua Xiqian grabbed her by the collar. He stared into her eyes and said, "You don't need to know too much. You just need to know that even if I give you everything right now, I can still take it all back and send you back to hell. I didn't do it on purpose. I just want to be with you." Wang Shasha was scared by Hua Xiqian. She realized that she was being impulsive, so she felt a little guilty. "Go change. Don't dress like this." Hua Xiqian didn't like Huamin because of her beauty or sex appeal. It was because of her natural temperament and domineering personality. Although Wang Shasha was similar to Huamin, she wasn't even 1/10 of what Huamin was like. However, before she got Huamin, it was good to lie to herself like this. Wang Shasha didn't dare to hesitate. She took off her clothes and changed into a cute set of pajamas. It even had a Mickey Mouse logo on it. It was pink and cute, but it couldn't arouse any man's desire. Surprisingly, Hua Xiqian was in a good mood. "Come here," he ordered. Wang Shasha slowly walked over, and Hua Xiqian picked her up and placed her on his lap. This position was very ambiguous. She also likes Disney. "You look good wearing it like this." Not many people knew that Huamin was a Disney fan. However, if one were to pay close attention to Huamin, he would realize that Huamin was a lot of the time. In some very casual occasions, many of the clothes they wore were Mickey or Minnie Mouse. No matter how mature and steady Huamin was, she still had the heart of a girl. Deep in her heart, she still dreamed of being a princess. Therefore, there were many pajamas, home clothes, and small items in the house that were related to Disney. There was the Queen's keychain from Frozen, and the pillows of Nick the Fox and Judy the Rabbit from Zootopia. Hua Xiqian was actually someone who paid attention to details. Over the years, he had collected too many of Huamin's hobbies. That was why there were so many cartoon home clothes in Wang Shasha's closet. After the two of them showered, they lay down like they always did. Hua Xiqian hugged Wang Shasha from behind. Wang Shasha knew that he was looking at another woman through her. She was actually very scared right now. She didn't know how long she would have to live like this. Hua Xiqian was temperamental. Sometimes, he would almost strangle her to death because of one sentence. She even felt that he wasn't in the best of moods. Midnight, Wang Shasha groggily got up to drink some water. When she opened her eyes, she almost screamed, because she saw Hua Xiqian staring at her face. That kind of gaze was unprecedented. You couldn't tell what kind of gaze it was or what it meant. However, she was extremely scared, so much so that her hair stood on end. Why aren't you asleep yet?" Wang Shasha was scared out of her wits, and her face was pale. Chapter 1371. Hua Xiqian didn't say anything, he just continued to stare at her. Just when she felt like she was about to suffocate, Hua Xiqian turned his head and closed his eyes. Wang Shasha was shocked for nothing. She even wondered if Hua Xiqian was possessed by a ghost. This man had too many secrets. This man was too strange. Huamin hadn't been sleeping well recently. She didn't know why, but maybe it was because there had been a lot of things happening at the company. She was worried about Qin Chu. At the branch company in T-City, the forced demolition incident was getting out of hand. The main reason was that the person in charge, Jiang Linyue, was still missing. This was very annoying. Although Qin Chu didn't say anything, Min could tell that he was very tired recently. At night, after Qin Chu fell asleep, Min sat up and drank some water. Then, she took out her phone. She looked at the recent developments on various forums. It seemed like there were still people who were inciting and slandering Suyu because of the movie. Min couldn't stand it anymore, so she registered a SMUF account and argued with them. On Weibo, she wrote a thought-provoking sentence. Sometimes, what you see may not be true. Many people followed suit. Mian, is Imperial Star stirring up trouble this time? Why didn't you fight back? Dr. Hua, I'm so worried about you guys. It's a shame that the movie can't be released. Min, Imperial Star's portrait of the beauties sold like hotcakes this time. I think Suyu is a despicable person. Hello, Min, my child is seriously ill and needs money. Can you sponsor me? I heard you're the daughter-in-law of a rich family. Min scrolled around but didn't see any valuable information. Just as she was about to close Weibo, she suddenly received a private message from Song Yisher. She and Song Yisher had already unfollowed each other ever since they had a falling out. They didn't look at each other's posts, therefore, she was quite surprised that Song Yisher suddenly sent her a private message. Min, are you there? Song Yisher couldn't sleep because she saw Min's post. So, she thought that he might not have gone offline yet. I'm here. There's something I want to talk to you about. Go ahead. Min was indifferent to Song Yisher. Hua Xiqian attacked Qin Chu. I don't know what he did, but I know it's not that simple. You have to tell Qin Chu to be careful. Thank you, we will. Also, I think Hua Xiqian has a lot of secrets that are very important to him. I suggest you ask Qin Chu to investigate him when you have time. It would be best if you could expose his true colors. I've had enough of him, you know. I think he's a pervert. Min, don't misunderstand, he's not that kind of pervert. I've never been with him. We lived our own lives, but there were a few times when I noticed that Hua Xiqian's behavior was very strange. It felt like, how should I put it? I can't describe it, but it was very scary. I'm scared. I'm really scared. I won't deny that I'm telling you this because I want you to get rid of him as soon as possible so that I can get a divorce. Anyway, he's a cancer. Thank you for telling me so much. I understand. Min didn't fully believe Song Yisher's words, but it wasn't like he didn't believe her either. He could only tell her half of the story. So many things had happened recently. Ever since the Hua Corporation took away the land, Min had a feeling that Hua Xiqian had started to plot something. However, he didn't show it on the surface, so he hadn't been noticed yet. She and Qin Chu both suspected him. He couldn't think of anyone else who was trying to frame Suyu. Min even wondered if Hua Xiqian had a mole by his side. The next morning at the breakfast table, Min silently ate his bread. Honey, you didn't sleep well last night. Qin Chu asked gently. What's wrong? You don't look well. Min subconsciously touched his face and smiled. Maybe I was thinking too much and couldn't sleep. What were you thinking about? Why didn't you tell me? Honey, when you have time, can you find someone to investigate Hua Xiqian? I've been feeling uneasy lately. I've already started investigating. Already? When did you start? Min was slightly surprised. Chapter 1372. Half a year ago. Qin Chu said calmly. Half a year ago. Min couldn't help but admit that her husband was quite smart. He had to plan ahead. Half a year ago, Hua Xiqian wasn't in charge yet. Back then, many people thought that he was a playboy who only knew how to eat, drink, and have fun. Then, did you find anything important? Hua Mian's brows furrowed. Qin Chu, on the other hand, was calm. He's very cunning, there are no flaws. How is that possible? Is he too good at disguising himself? Hua Min was a little surprised. Rick's men and I have been following him for a long time. A few days ago, Rick's men were fooled by him on the ring road. Honey, Hua Xichen isn't a simple man. I have a feeling that he's plotting something. I have the same feeling, so you have to be extra careful these days. Hua Min reached out and tightly held Qin Chu's hand. After dinner, the couple went to work separately. Hua Min had been a little restless lately, but she couldn't pinpoint the exact reason. It was as if a storm was about to come. Chief, you don't look well, are you too tired? I'll change your shift schedule so you can take some time to rest. Assistant Chen Jia said. Okay, thank you, Jia. Hua Min wasn't a workaholic, she really did need to rest. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to stay awake in the office. After Chen Jia adjusted her shift schedule, she looked at Hua Min and found out that she only had 2 hours a day to see patients. The rest of the time, she could relax and relax. Hua Min nodded. That's fine. After Chen Jia put away the shift schedule, she made Hua Min a cup of calming tea. Chief, have some tea first, then calm down. I'll go to the pharmacy and see if there's anything we need. Okay, Hua Min nodded tiredly. After Chen Jia left, she took out her phone. He continued to log into the various major forums to check out the latest comments. Siyu did not respond to the defamation, but it was indeed her style. If he responded to everything, it would seem too low, and it would not be in line with Lord Su's arrogant personality. Imperial Stars: A Portrait of Country and Beauty was a hit. The female lead, Jian Tong, and 3 other female artists under the company became famous again because of their roles as concubines. On the other hand, GK Entertainment's movie was banned because of the male actor's assault, which resulted in a huge loss. However, Qin Chu didn't care about this small loss. For a corporation as large as GK, this was nothing. What he was more concerned about now was the possibility that Hua Xichen was behind all this. Then why would he waste his time doing something so boring? After all, these losses couldn't really hurt Qin Chu's interests. These personal losses couldn't threaten GK at all. GK President's Office: Any news on Jiang Linyue? Not yet, the police said they filed a case. Assistant Yang replied. The corner of Qin Chu's mouth twitched coldly. File a case. If they want to find Jiang Linyue, they'll probably have to wait 100 years. The police's efficiency is really disappointing. Forget it, I wasn't counting on them anyway. You can leave now. Yes, sir. After Assistant Yang left the office, Qin Chu picked up his phone and dialed a number. Rick, any news on the person I asked you to find in T-City? Chapter 1373. I've already located her number, but it's strange. Her number shows that she's still in her apartment, but our people went to check and found that no one was home, so she must have left her phone at home. I don't think she left T-City, because I've checked all the traffic exits, and there's no sign of her leaving the city. Could she have been harmed? Qin Chu asked faintly. I don't think so. I've investigated all the suspicious people around her, and no one can pose a threat to her. I've also asked around, and there haven't been any robberies or robberies. Jiang Linyue's apartment is extremely secure, unless she wants to disappear, otherwise, no one would do anything to her. I think so too, she's probably hiding somewhere. Then what are you going to do? Find her and silence her, or... Rick thought that Qin Chu was going to kill her without mercy. I think she's being used. The accident in T-City is pretty big, and she doesn't have the ability to make waves, but she definitely knows the inside story. so Jiang Linyue is a key figure right now. I want to find her because I want to know what happened. Okay, then I'll keep looking. No need, Rick, you don't need to look. Let's stop this for now. Why? Rick didn't seem to understand Qin Chu's intentions. I think Jiang Linyue will come to me, and they might want to negotiate terms with me. What about now? Is there anything I can do? Rick asked in all seriousness. Continue to follow Hua Xiqian, and tell your people to be smart, don't follow too closely, or else they'll find nothing. Okay, I understand. After hanging up, Qin Chu pressed the intercom. Sir, what's up? Assistant Yang immediately pushed open the door and walked in. Tell the private jet to prepare for takeoff, I'm going to T-City. Right now. Assistant Yang was a bit dumbfounded. Yes, right now. After speaking, Qin Chu picked up his black suit jacket and walked out. No one knew how important T-City was, and the forced demolition had already made many residents unhappy. There were even some people who jointly submitted a letter to the provincial government and threatened to go to the capital. However, that wasn't the main point. The main point was that one of GK's construction teams violated human rights and ethics. They didn't care about the safety of the residents and forcibly demolished a building in the middle of the night, causing the area to collapse. A family of 5 was crushed to death. The reason why the news hadn't been exposed was because the higher-ups in T-City were afraid that they would be held responsible, so they suppressed the news. However, Qin Chu knew that this matter was currently the most critical. If it was not dealt with in time, he was afraid that more people would die. Just like last time, they used human lives to ruin GK's reputation. There was only one person who could do such a vicious thing. Qin Chu's gaze turned slightly cold. This was no longer a simple business war. This was a bloody war that involved unscrupulous means. Qin Chu had a feeling that the enemy's goal wasn't as simple as taking down GK. Instead, they wanted him to die without a grave. Before Qin Chu left C-City, he only sent a WeChat message to Hua Min. No one else knew about it, so he kept it a secret. Honey. I'm going to T-City to deal with some urgent matters, so I might not be back tonight. Remember to eat and sleep on time, don't miss me. When Hua Min received the WeChat message, he called Qin Chu back. However, he had already turned off his phone. Chapter 1374. Hua Min had no choice but to reply to him on WeChat so that he could see it when he turned on his phone. Don't worry about me, take care of your work. It was normal for Qin Chu to go to T-City for business, but why did Hua Min feel so uneasy? He just felt uneasy. The truth was, as the president of GK, Qin Chu was supposed to travel all over the country. However, he was very homesick and left all his business trips to the company's vice president and senior executives. He rarely went out, and the reason why he paid so much attention to T-City was because it was a coastal city with a strong import and export trade, and its economy was developing rapidly. However, after the incident at the subsidiary company, Qin Chu decided to withdraw his main force. Sending Jiang Linyue there was no different from sending her into exile. There were no more major projects. But even so, there was still a lot of trouble. Now, there was a forced demolition scandal, and Jiang Linyue went missing. If someone exposed this, GK's reputation would take another hit. Qin Chu wanted to solve this problem before it was exposed by the media. Chief, a patient just registered with you, do you still want to see her? Chen Jia pushed open the door and asked cautiously. Hua Min only had 2 patients left in the morning, and he had already seen both of them. Now that he heard that there was another patient, Hua Min looked down at his watch. It wasn't even midnight yet. Therefore, he nodded. Let her in. 2 minutes later, Chen Jia walked in with a girl around 17 or 18 years old. The girl was fair and clean, with long hair and big eyes. However, the strange thing was that she had dark circles under her eyes, and there were even signs of bruising. Sit. Huamin pointed at the chair across from him. The girl sat down mechanically. Have you seen it before? Do you know what's wrong with you? Huamin looked at the medical record and saw the words on it. Persecutory paranoia. Yes, my mom took me to many hospitals and psychiatrists, but they couldn't cure me. The girl's voice was a bit hoarse. You have insomnia. Can't sleep? Huamin asked. How did you know? The girl raised her head and looked at Huamin warily. You have serious dark circles under your eyes, Shu. It's not a black eye, it's from being beaten up. Hit? Who hit you? Huamin was stunned. I don't know who it is. It's a scary person. He always comes into my room and beats me when I'm asleep. It's so scary. Huamin, are you saying that someone came in and beat you up after you fell asleep? The girl nodded. Then won't you wake up after being hit? Won't you see that person? Shoo, be quiet. I can't see him at all. I think he's a ghost. The girl said mysteriously. Even the look in his eyes was a little strange. Chen Jia shuddered at the thought of this. Huamin, on the other hand, was calm. It seems like you really do have persecutory paranoia. Do you always think that someone is trying to hurt you? Of course. There are actually a lot of bad people in this world. They hide in the crowd and you can't tell them apart. Then, when you're not paying attention, they'll strangle you to death. The girl suddenly stood up when she said that. She suddenly tried to strangle Huamin. Luckily, Huamin reacted quickly and raised his arm to cover his face. Therefore, his arm was scratched by the girl. Chen Jia immediately reacted and hugged the girl tightly from behind. Girl, calm down. Chen Jia comforted as she hugged the patient. Chapter 1375. Let go of me, I'm going to strangle you. You're a bad guy too. You're a demon, a devil hiding under the skin of a good person. The girl charged at Huamin fiercely, baring her fangs and brandishing her claws. She suddenly became so strong that Chen Jia couldn't even hold on to her anymore. Huamin pulled out a silver needle that he always carried with him and inserted it into an acupuncture point on the back of the girl's neck. Then, the anesthetic wore off, and the girl collapsed onto the ground. Chief, are you okay? Chen Jia was so scared that her expression changed drastically. She rushed up and checked Huamin's arm. His right arm was scratched, and there were clear bloodstains. It's fine, it's just a small wound. Huamin turned around and sat down. He took out the iodophore behind him to disinfect the wound. Then, he took out white gauze and wrapped it up himself, his movements extremely clean. Chief, I'm sorry, I didn't think this girl would be so emotionally unstable. Chen Jia blamed herself. It's not your fault, don't take it to heart. This girl is seriously mentally ill. Not only does she have persecutory paranoia, but I also suspect that she has multiple personality disorder. She even has auditory hallucinations. If she doesn't get it under control, she'll have self-abuse or even suicide. I'm going upstairs for a meeting, you can call her family and pick her up. Yes, sir, said Wang Yao. Chen Jia admired Huamin because he could remain calm no matter what the situation was. Even when his hand was scratched by a mentally ill patient, he could still analyze the patient's condition rationally. It was really a high level of professionalism. When he got off work, he received a call from Qin Chu telling him that he wouldn't be coming back. Huamin was just about to go home when he received a call from Xiao Wei. Mian, come to my place for dinner. I bought a lot of your favorite food, including king crabs. Lingling will be here soon. Okay, wait for me. Huamin then drove directly to Jiang Xiaowei's house. When he passed by the maternity store, he bought a lot of newborn clothes and supplies. After Xiaowei got pregnant, although they rarely went out for dinner, their relationship didn't diminish. When Huamin arrived, Zhu Lingling wasn't there yet. Oh my god. What happened to your arm? Jiang Xiaowei's sharp eyes noticed Huamin's injury. Ah. A patient scratched him. Mental illness? Jiang Xiaowei asked. Huamin nodded. Your profession is almost as dangerous as the one in the criminal police unit. If Qin Chu knew about this, he would be heartbroken, right? He doesn't know yet. He's on a business trip. Sit down, I'll change your bandages. Jiang Xiaowei pulled Huamin to sit down on the sofa in the living room. Then, she found a small first aid kit. Then, she began to dress Huamin's wounds again. At this time, Wei Liao happened to send a video call. Jiang Xiaowei casually pressed a button and picked up the call. Then, she stood on the coffee table beside her. Wei Liao, honey. What are you doing? Jiang Xiaowei, I can't tell. Are you blind? I'm dressing Huamian's wounds. Wei Liao, Huamin is here. Jiang Xiaowei, yeah, I asked her and Lingling to come over for dinner. Wei Liao, oh, then you guys eat. I'll ask you what you want to eat and buy it for you. Jiang Xiaowei, it's okay, you can eat. After hanging up, Wei Liao looked at Suyu meaningfully. Lord Su, did you see that? Huamin is at my house. So? Suyu asked calmly. Do you want to come over to my house for dinner? Wei Liao smiled mysteriously. Are you sure your wife won't kick us out of the house? Pfft. How is that possible? My Wei Wei is very gentle. Wei Liao chuckled. Tang Chuan, who was playing games on his phone, immediately interrupted. Old Wei, your ghost story is too fucking scary. Go away, what kind of ghost story is this? I'm serious, Wei Wei isn't as scary as you think. Wei Liao defended himself. Tang Chuan and Suyu both smiled but didn't say anything. Huh? But how did Huamin get hurt out of nowhere? Wei Liao was puzzled. After hearing this, Suyu's expression changed. Chapter 1376. Whoa, looks like our Lord Su is worried about you again. Tang Chuan put down his phone and continued to tease them. How about, you guys come back to my place for dinner? If you suddenly take us home for dinner without telling us, will Sister Wei make you kneel on a durian? Tang Chuan laughed. How is that possible? Durian is expensive. I think cactus is better. It's cheap and has thorns. Wei Liao chuckled. Fuck, you're still the best. Lord Su, do you want to go? Tang Chuan didn't really care where they ate, but they all wanted to see what Suyu thought. It's okay, we'll just have a simple bite. I have to go back to the company for a meeting. Okay, let's eat here. Wei Liao nodded. But Lord Su, don't you want to see Huamin? Tang Chuan asked out of turn. I don't think it's a good time to see her. After all, there's been a lot of negative news about me lately. If she thinks that I've been trying to frame GK, she probably won't want to see me. Suyu didn't have much confidence in himself. Recently, the painting of the country and the beauty was selling like hotcakes, and Imperial Star was in the limelight. He didn't want Huamin to think that he was showing off or that he was deliberately showing off. Although he really wanted to see Huamin, he still felt like the time wasn't right. No way, I think Huamin is a smart woman, she would understand something like this. If you, Lord Su, wanted to play dirty, you wouldn't have waited until now. Why do you have so much to say? Lord Su already said that he's not going, so stop nagging and eat. Wei Liao kicked Tang Chuan hard under the table, making him grimace. Then, the three of them ate Heidebao. Suyu didn't have a good appetite, so he ate very little. During the meal, he went out to make a phone call. After a while, he saw a black Audi A8 parked in front of the hotel. I'm going out to get something. After saying that, Suyu got up and walked out. After a while, he returned with a box of ointment. He placed it beside Wei Liao. What the hell is this? Wei Liao looked at the ointment and wondered. Aren't you going home later? Give this to Huamin. Ah. Is there a need for that? He's a doctor. We don't have to worry about him. Lord Su told you to give it to him, so just give it to him. Cut the crap. Tang Chuan finally seized the opportunity to kick Wei Liao back. When they walked out of the hotel, it was only 7 o'clock. Suyu drove straight back to the company. Tang Chuan originally planned to go home with Wei Liao to join in the fun, but he received a call from a girl at the last minute, so he immediately ran away halfway. When Wei Liao returned, they were still eating. There were only Jiang Xiaowei, Zhu Lingling, and Huamin. The two nannies stood behind them, and the three women ate a table full of seafood. You're back so early. Jiang Xiaowei glanced at Wei Liao. Yeah, Lord Su isn't in a good mood, so he didn't eat much. That's good. Sit down and eat with us. Jiang Xiaowei pointed at the table. Wei Liao walked over and hugged Jiang Xiaowei's shoulder lovingly. Slightly, pregnant women can't eat seafood. Did you forget? It's too cold. Especially crabs, it can cause a miscarriage. Who said I ate it? I'm eating porridge, okay? I have a professional doctor by my side. How could I make such a low-level mistake? Jiang Xiaowei pointed at Huamin proudly. Huamin smiled and greeted Wei Liao. Hi. By the way, Huamin, Lord Su asked me to give this to you. As soon as he saw Huamin, he immediately thought of Lord Su's instructions. Chapter 1377. Wei Liao immediately took out a tube of ointment from his pocket and gently placed it on the table. I don't think so. Mian is a doctor, and the hospital has all kinds of medicine. Why would he give her an ointment? Lord Su really didn't need to do this. Jiang Xiaowei sighed as she placed her hand on Wei Liao's shoulder. Huamin, on the other hand, didn't say anything. He quietly picked up the tube of ointment and looked at it. Then, he looked up and said, this ointment isn't sold on the market or in the hospital. It's specially provided by the military. My goodness, it sounds pretty cool, but what does it do? Heal wounds. Zhu Lingling asked as she chewed on a crab. Not only does it heal wounds, but it also has a beautifying effect. It prevents scars from leaving behind. I heard that it was imported from Germany and costs around 10,000 yuan. It's one of those priceless medicines. Huamin vaguely remembered reading about this legendary medicine in a medical book. No wonder Lord Su specifically asked you to give it to him. It looks like this ointment is pretty cool. Lord Su asked his family to deliver it to you. It probably belongs to Lord Su, Wei Liao interrupted. Huamin carefully put away the ointment and turned to look at Wei Liao. Thanks Suyu for me. It's not sincere to thank him. If you want to thank him, tell him in person. Then, Wei Liao took out his phone and made a call. The truth was, Wei Liao was a little selfish. He knew that Suyu really wanted to see Huamin, but he didn't have an excuse. So, he wanted to create a small opportunity. Before Huamin could say anything, Wei Liao handed his phone to Huamin. The call went through, and Suyu's familiar voice sounded from the other end. What's up? He thought it was Wei Liao. After a moment of silence, Huamin slowly said, I received the ointment, thank you. Upon hearing Huamin's voice, Siyu felt his heart speed up. Are you okay? I'm fine. I heard you were injured, are you okay? Siyu asked anxiously. I'm fine, I was accidentally scratched by a patient. It's all superficial wounds. That's good. Suyu's. Hwamian felt awkward, she didn't know what to say to Siyu. Then, the two spoke at the same time, you first, another spoke at the same time, this time, Hwamian's a woman's. Ladies first, you go first, Siyu insisted. It's nothing, I just wanted to say that you don't have to feel pressured by the recent storm. Chin Chu and I both believe that you didn't do it. He believes me too. Siyu was a little surprised. Well, we all know your character. You definitely wouldn't do such a lowly thing, but the incident happened at your place, so you're considered to be the scapegoat for no reason this time. Recently, there are a lot of things going on, so you have to be careful. I will, thank you for trusting me. Siyu suddenly felt a lot more relaxed. Hwamian's unconditional trust in him made him feel very comfortable. Okay, that's it then. I'm hanging up now, bye. Hwamian didn't waste any time and hung up right after. It was already past 9 p.m. when she left Jiang Shaowei's house. She and Lingling stood at the door and talked for a while before driving away. After returning to South Hill Manor, Hwamian changed and took a shower. After getting into bed, she took out her phone and video called Chin Chu. On the other end, Chin Chu was in a meeting with some of T City's important leaders. His phone rang. He looked down and said apologetically, I'm sorry, I have to take a call from my wife. Then, Chin Chu walked out of the meeting room. Honey, he said gently. Hearing Chin Chu's voice, Hwamian felt inexplicably relieved. Honey, what are you doing? Have you had dinner yet? Hwamian cupped her cheeks and looked lovingly at the handsome man on the other end of the video call. Chapter 1378. I'm eating right now. Chin Chu's tone was gentle. He didn't want Hwamian to worry, so he told a white lie. He wasn't going to tell her how dangerous the situation in T City was. What did you eat? Local specialties, Chin Chu said calmly. Okay, eat more, don't go hungry. Okay. Honey, you came back from Dr. Zhang's house. Yeah, Lingling wanted me to go to the bar for a drink, but I haven't been feeling well lately. I don't want to go anywhere, I just want to stay at home. Okay, then you should go to bed early, honey. Hwamian dragged out her voice. Yeah. How about I resign and go to GK to help you? I think you're working too hard. You're running such a big corporation, but you don't have anyone you can trust. You have to do everything yourself, it's really tiring. Hwamian felt bad for her husband, so she debated for an entire night. She suddenly realized that it didn't matter if she was a doctor or not. What mattered was that she could help her husband with his work, and shoulder everything together. Hasn't it always been your dream to be a doctor? Chin Chu asked with a smile. But no matter what it is, it's nothing compared to you. Chin Chu fell silent. Mrs. Chin, are you confessing your love for me? No, I just want to help Mr. Chin shoulder everything, Hwamian said word for word. I'm happy to hear that, but I still want you to choose the career you like. Leave the business to me, your husband won't fall so easily. I know, but, honey. I haven't had dinner yet, I'm going to eat. You go to bed first. Okay then, you should go to bed too. Hwamian reluctantly hung up the phone. She didn't expect Chin Chu to reject her suggestion. She knew that Chin Chu loved her, so he didn't want her to go to GK. Relatively speaking, although the work in the hospital was tough, at least she liked it. She really didn't like being a career woman and a female CEO. She didn't think there was anything good about earning money. After hanging up the phone, Chin Chu turned around and walked into the conference room. My apologies, everyone. Let's continue. President Chin, we've discussed the victims of this accident. You have to fork out at least 5 million, or else we won't be able to keep them quiet. Once the news gets out, we'll all be in trouble. Money isn't a problem. The problem is that even if we take out the money, this matter won't be settled. I have a feeling. Chin Chu said calmly. After nearly 2 hours of discussion with the leaders, the result was not satisfactory. Chin Chu didn't like to deal with the officials because most of them liked to play Tai Chi, pushing the responsibility back and forth. All he cared about was money. However, since the branch office was opened here, it was impossible for them not to interact with it. Yang could tell that his boss was unhappy, so he didn't dare to say anything on the way back. Presidential Suite, T-City Marriott Hotel. As soon as Chin Chu entered the room and took off his jacket, his phone rang. He picked it up and glanced at it. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello. President Chin, it's Jiang Linyue. You finally called. Chin Chu let out a sigh of relief. You know. Jiang Linyue was a bit surprised. She thought Chin Chu would go crazy trying to find her. Tell me, what's your condition? Chin Chu went straight to the point. He already knew that Jiang Linyue was hiding at this sensitive time because she wanted to negotiate with him. President Chin. I want to be with you. I don't want status. I just want to be with you. Jiang Linyue said nervously. What if I don't agree? Then I'll go all out. I have something very important that directly affects our company's reputation. If I release it, then you'll regret it. Jiang Linyue seemed to have a plan. Chapter 1379. You seem to have overestimated yourself, and underestimated me. Chin Chu's voice was icy cold. Aside from Huamin, he would never show his gentle side to anyone. All of GK's employees were afraid of this cold president. This was because this young leader had always been swift and decisive in his actions. It had been a week since Jiang Linyue disappeared from the branch company. She hid for a week because she wanted to make Chin Chu anxious so that she could negotiate with him. She thought that Chin Chu would compromise, or at least consider it. President Chin, you should know that I have the best evidence for this incident. You can put it this way, if I say this incident has something to do with our company, then it has something to do with it. If I say it has nothing to do with it, then it has nothing to do with it. Think about the pros and cons. No matter how much evidence you have, I will never be with you. Jiang Linyue, you need to know your place. My wife is very kind to you. You provoked her so aggressively before, but she didn't throw you into the river to feed the fish. Don't test my patience, I'm giving you one last chance. Give me the evidence you have, or else. I promise you, you won't be in a good place. Huh, are you threatening me? Jiang Linyue laughed. Threatening? You're thinking too much. There aren't many people in this world that I can threaten. Do you think you're worthy? Chin Chu thought it was hilarious. If Song Yisher was retarded, then Jiang Linyue was probably terminally ill. She didn't even consider the consequences of her actions. She didn't realize that she was on the path of death. President Chin. I'm giving you one last chance as well. Are you really not going to say yes? Other than Huamin, I won't be with any other woman, no one. I can't promise you that. Then I'll give you what you have. Before Jiang Linyue could finish, Chin Chu hung up the phone. Whatever. Chin Chu hated being led by the nose, especially by a brainless woman like Jiang Linyue. If he was really manipulated by her, it would really lower his IQ. From Jiang Linyue's words, Chin Chu could vaguely guess what she had in her hands. Although it was indeed very important, he would not tolerate anyone who wanted to threaten him. Boss, are we really not going to continue negotiating with Director Jiang? Assistant Yang couldn't help but worry for his boss when he saw him reject Jiang Linyue's offer. There's nothing to talk about. Qin Chu was very calm. He took off his tie and went into the bathroom to take a shower and change his clothes, preparing to rest. At this moment, Jiang Linyue was on the second floor of a small house in a residential area on the outskirts of T-City. She actually regretted it. How did things come to this? She didn't want to frame President Qin, nor did she want to do anything that would be detrimental to GK. She thought that with these things in her hands, President Qin might compromise. Who would have thought that he would reject him without any hesitation? Now, she was in an awkward position, they didn't know where to go from here. The more she thought about it, the more uneasy she felt. She picked up her phone and dialed a number. Hello. A man's voice came from the other end of the phone. I called President Qin, but he didn't agree. What should we do? Then you should announce it to the public. The bigger the commotion, the better. Let's see how Qin Chu will deal with this. But I don't want to do that. I didn't mean to do that. Jiang Linyue was a bit scared. You're so naive. Do you think you have a choice? You're in a difficult position. Do you know that? Qin Chu already sees you as a thorn in his side. Maybe he's sending people everywhere to find you and kill you. Your apartment has been visited countless times. If you were at home right now, you'd be a corpse. Don't think that Qin Chu is too kind. Go for it. But, don't you want to be with him? That's true. Jiang Linyue nodded, her mind in a mess. Listen to me. As long as Qin Chu loses, his reputation will be ruined, and his wife will leave him. He'll have nothing left. You should take the opportunity to comfort him and keep him company. You'll definitely win his heart. Jiang Linyue's eyes were a bit confused. Really? Chapter 1380. After the call with the mysterious person, Jiang Linyue's mind was still wavering. Perhaps the mysterious person saw her hesitation, so he sent another text to Jiang Linyue. You don't have a choice now. Behind you is a cliff. Maybe if you go forward, you'll find a way out. Jiang Linyue didn't have much ambition. Unlike Song Yishe, she simply had a crush on Qin Chu. All these years, she quietly worked at GK, hoping that one day, the president would fall in love with her. Unfortunately, her goal was getting farther and farther away. She thought that if Qin Chu fell, Huamin would run away. Then, she would have the best chance of getting close to Qin Chu. After all, she truly loved Qin Chu, not because of his status or money. At this thought, Jiang Linyue tightly clenched her fists. Then, she took out her phone and registered an ID on the most famous forum. Then, she typed out the words that she wanted to say word by word. After she finished writing and pressed the publish button, she finally realized that she couldn't turn back this time. She didn't know if she did the right thing, but she knew that she was being used. But if she didn't risk it this time, she might never have the chance to get close to Qin Chu. As long as Huamin was there, she would never be able to return to GK. Huamin, you forced me to do all of this. Finally, Jiang Linyue glared at her phone screen and blamed everything she did on Huamin. Midnight, Huamin still couldn't sleep. She got up and walked to the small fridge in her bedroom. She grabbed a can of drink and took a few sips. Her sleep quality had been getting worse and worse lately. When Qin Chu wasn't home, she couldn't sleep at all. She sat on the chaise lounge with her phone in her hand. She drank her drink and scrolled through the internet. Suddenly, an explosive piece of news caught her attention. It was just released 15 minutes ago, and it was now being reposted by famous media outlets. The title was GK's Secret to Fortune, The Dark Empire You Don't Know About. He had to admit that Jiang Linyue's writing skills were quite good. Her 7,000 to 8,000 words eloquently described the history of GK's growth over the years. Many shameful methods were even exposed. Of course, no one knew if they were real or fabricated. It wasn't until the end that a photo caused a stir. It was a real estate document signed by Qin Chu of GK, which meant that GK had bought a piece of land in T-City. They were preparing to build an automated shopping mall that would integrate food, drink, and entertainment. However, during the construction, there was a scandal of forced demolition. Although the article didn't directly point out that Qin Chu was the one who wanted to force the demolition, it was written in black and white. As long as one wasn't an idiot, one could understand what it meant. The document in the photo had a red official seal and involved a lot of trade secrets. Just like that, it was made public. It was inevitable that things would blow up. Wamin had already guessed that other than the missing Jiang Linyue, no one else could have gotten their hands on such an important document. But, hadn't she always liked Qin Chu? Why did she want to turn around and kill him now? Wamin was no longer in the mood to drink. He began to call Qin Chu, but Qin Chu's phone was turned off. He called Yang again, but Yang's phone was turned off as well. Wamin couldn't sleep anymore. What's going on? Did something happen? Wamin was very anxious. Inside the Marriott Hotel in T-City, Qin Chu had already seen the article 3 minutes after Jiang Linyue released it. The reason why he and Yang turned off their phones was to avoid being harassed by the media. Jiang Linyue is too much. How could she betray us like this? Yang, who had a good temper, couldn't help but curse at Jiang Linyue. Chapter 1381. I thought it would be some juicy news, but it's nothing much. In Qin Chu's eyes, the information she revealed was nothing worth mentioning. When the forced demolition scandal was exposed, he already knew that it was a trap. No matter what he did, he wouldn't be able to get away. An hour and a half after Jiang Linyue posted the article. To her surprise, the T-City police posted on Weibo, the head of GK's T-City branch, Jiang Linyue, is involved in a forced demolition case that resulted in serious injuries and deaths. The T-City police have officially opened a case for investigation. If anyone knows anything, please contact us immediately. The reward is 50,000 yuan. As soon as this news came out, it meant that Jiang Linyue was wanted by the police. Moreover, the person who called the police wasn't Qin Chu, but the victim's family. This further solidified the GK forced demolition scandal. To outsiders, it looked like Qin Chu ordered Jiang Linyue to do these heartless things. Now, not only did Qin Chu get dragged into this mess, Jiang Linyue also became a wanted criminal. When Jiang Linyue saw the news, her face turned pale with fright. She dialed that number again. Hey, what's wrong with you? Didn't you say that everything would be fine as long as I posted the evidence? Why are you looking for me? Haha, calm down, it's more realistic this way, right? Bastard, you went back on your word. Jiang Linyue cursed angrily. She quickly logged into her account and tried to delete the article on the forum, only to find that it was locked. She couldn't delete it at all. How did this happen? Jiang Linyue was completely dumbfounded. After the incident, she was already worried that Huamin wouldn't be able to contact Qin Chu, so she became even more anxious. Qin Chu thought that his wife was already asleep. He didn't think that she would still be reading the news at this hour. Therefore, he didn't think about contacting her. Huamin decided to call Gao Ran. Hello. Huamin. Gao Ran was obviously asleep, as his voice sounded lazy. Gao Ran, use your police system to help me find out which hotel in T-City Qin Chu is at right now. Caught in the act. Gao Ran replied in a daze. Catch your grandpa. It's an emergency. I'm not joking. Hurry up. Yes. Gao Ran didn't dare to continue teasing him when he heard that it was an emergency. He immediately perked up. He got up and called the station. 3 minutes later. He replied to Huamin, I'm at Marriott, Presidential Suite. Thank you. After hanging up, Huamin immediately got up and got dressed. She had already booked her flight ticket. It would take off at 11:20 p.m. and arrive at T-City at around 2:30 p.m. It was 10:20, which meant that there was still an hour left. She was in a hurry. Therefore, Huamin hurriedly put on his clothes, carried his bag, got into the R8 with disheveled hair, and started to race. Fortunately, there weren't many cars at night, and they were on the highway. When they arrived at the airport, everything was just right. She parked her car at the airport and boarded the plane. T-City Marriott Hotel. Qin Chu and Xiao Yang returned to their respective rooms. The presidential suite had 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. The interior was decorated in a simple European style, and it was especially gorgeous. After Qin Chu returned to his room, he turned on his laptop and continued to work. He even poured himself a glass of red wine. Around 2:50 a.m., the doorbell of the presidential suite rang. Xiao Yang's room was at the entrance, so he immediately got up to open the door. After opening the door, Xiao Yang was dumbfounded. He thought he was sleepwalking. Young, Shu. Huamin raised his index finger and gestured. Xiao Yang immediately swallowed his words. Where is he? Huamin's voice was very small. The boss is in the innermost room. Okay. Huamin nodded and walked straight in. Is a young lady here to check the rooms? Thank goodness the boss didn't do anything bad, this is too scary. Huamin's sudden arrival in the middle of the night left Xiao Yang dumbfounded. Huamin walked to the door and felt her heart race. They were an old married couple, but she was still so nervous. She cleared her throat and knocked on the door. She deliberately lowered her voice and asked, President Qin, do you need special services? Chapter 1382. After Huamin finished speaking, she couldn't help but chuckle to herself. She really didn't know how Mr. Qin would react. Would he tell her that she didn't need it, or would he get angry and chase her out? She lowered her head as her imagination ran wild. The door opened with a bang, and before Huamin could react, someone scooped her up by the waist. Then, an hour later, Huamin walked out of the bathroom and collapsed into Qin Chu's arms. Honey, how did you know it was me? You didn't even look at me before you pushed me down. What if it was the wrong person? Qin Chu hugged her, and the corners of his lips curled up slightly. If it was an outsider, Yang wouldn't have let her in. Huamin was speechless. No matter how low your voice is, I can still tell it's you. Huamin was speechless. It's so late, what are you doing here? You've been sitting here for more than 2 hours. Qin Chu's heart ached as he gently stroked a lock of hair on Huamin's forehead. All right. You're too smart. You've guessed everything. That's boring, Qin Chu laughed. I was actually worried about you. Huamin turned around and tightly hugged Qin Chu's waist. You saw the news. Huamin nodded and didn't say anything. I'm sorry for making you worry. I thought you were already asleep, so I turned off my phone to prevent the media from bothering me. I didn't think you'd be so worried. Whenever I can't reach you, my thoughts run wild, so I came here at the last minute. I'm glad you're okay. Huamin buried her head in Qin Chu's chest. She enjoyed the gentleness that only belonged to her. After a while, Huamin looked up. Honey, about that. Don't worry, I can handle it. Go to sleep. Okay. The two of them hugged each other tightly. For the time being, they forgot all their worries and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning after breakfast at 6 o'clock, Chin Chu drove Huamin to the airport. Before leaving, the two of them were reluctant to part. "Hubby, come home early. I'll wait for you." Like a child, Huamin held Chin Chu's hand and refused to let go. Chin Chu ignored the envious and jealous gazes of the crowd. He held Huamin's face and kissed her red lips. "I'm fine, don't worry." Yang watched from a short distance away, and he was extremely envious of them. The boss and a young lady had been married for quite some time, but the two of them still acted like newlyweds. They were too loving, she was simply torturing him. Fortunately, he was no longer single. Otherwise, he would have suffered internal injuries. The next morning, GK's secrets were on the headlines of all the major media outlets in the two cities. A large number of reporters surrounded GK's headquarters, and many shareholders were worried that their stocks would be affected, so they directly went to the door to complain. All of a sudden, chaos ensued. Chin Chu's father immediately went back to the company, but he was surrounded at the door. "Chairman Chin, why are you back? Did something happen and your son ran away? Chin Yuman, give us back our hard-earned money. GK stocks are so expensive. If they fall, we'll lose everything. You profiteer, you bastards forced the demolition. The Chin family is nothing good. You will suffer retribution. President Chin, can you explain to me whether this forced demolition was your idea or the idea of your partner? I heard that 5 people died. An entire family was crushed to death by the collapsed building. It's so tragic." Chin Chu's father was silent the entire way. He endured the pressure and entered the company's internal affairs. Just as he was about to start the morning meeting, he heard the vice president report, "Chairman, after the stock market opened, our stocks fell extremely within 10 minutes. What should we do? If this continues, our stocks will explode." Upon hearing this, Chin Yuman's vision went black. Before he could say anything, he fell to the ground. Chairman, Southside Recuperation Center." Huamin changed into a white lab coat and was about to go to work when he received a call from GK. "A young lady, please come quickly." The chairman fainted. Chapter 1383. "Okay, I'll be right there." Upon hearing that Chin Chu's father had fallen ill, Huamin immediately asked for leave and drove to the first hospital. Outside the VIP room, "Dr. Liu, how's my father?" "Dr. Hua, your father-in-law's condition isn't looking good. His blood pressure is very high, and his heart isn't very good. Plus, he was traumatized, and his condition worsened. What do we do now? Do we need surgery? My suggestion is to stay in the hospital for conservative treatment. At his age, surgery doesn't have a high chance of success. Take a look, this is the latest CT scan of his brain." Dr. Liu handed Chin Yuman's scan to Huamin. Huamin took it and looked at it with a serious expression. "He's indeed not suitable for surgery. I also agree with conservative treatment. Let's lower my father's blood pressure first. High blood pressure is too dangerous. His blood vessels could rupture at any time and cause brain hemorrhage." "Okay. Thank you, Dr. Liu." "You're welcome. We're close colleagues now. I'll go back to work, you can go in and see the patient." "Okay." Huamin nodded. When he entered, only Lady Chin was in the room. She held Chin Yuman's hand worriedly and seemed to be saying something with tears in her eyes. "Why are you crying? I'm not dead yet, right?" Chin Yuman's breathing was very weak. Huamin took a deep breath and walked over with a smile. "Dad, are you feeling better? Mian is here." "Huamian." Lady Chin turned around as well. The couple looked at Huamin. "Yeah, I heard you were sick. I was worried. I'm fine, it's just an old problem. You're busy with work, don't come back and forth. Qin Yumin didn't want to trouble his children. Dad, we're family. Nothing is more important than your health. Huamin walked over and raised his head to look at the four-drip. He felt that it was a little too fast, so he reached out to adjust the speed. Dad. I just talked to your attending doctor. He's a very authoritative doctor in the field of brain surgery. You can rest assured. He said that you'll be fine as long as you rest well. That won't do. Shu isn't in the company right now. I have a lot of things to deal with. I have to go back to the company. Qin Yumin didn't seem to want to stay at the hospital. Old man, just listen to Mian. You still want to go to the company at a time like this? Is money more important than your life? Lady Qin seemed to be scared and held her husband's hand tightly. But Qin Yumin wanted to say something, but before he could, Huamin interrupted him. Dad, leave the company to me. I've asked for leave from the hospital. Before Qin Chu comes back, leave the company to me. Just focus on recuperating and don't think about anything else, okay? Huamin coaxed the kind-looking old man like he was coaxing a child. Did you hear what Mian said? She's the best doctor in the world. You have to listen to her, Lady Qin tried to persuade him. There's a lot to do at the company. Can you handle it? Qin Yumin was still worried. Dad, I'll take care of it. Huamin smiled confidently. Then, Huamin contacted the best nurse in the hospital to stay and take care of his father-in-law. Then, he bought some food for lunch and put it in the room. Mom. I'll go to the company first. There's lunch and fruit here. Take good care of Dad. I'll come back after work. Okay, go ahead. I'll be here. When he left the hospital, Huamin called Qin Chu and told him that his father was fine and that he shouldn't worry. Only then did Qin Chu relax and continue to deal with things in T-City. GK headquarters, Huamin went back to South Hill Manor and changed into a casual black suit before going to the company. After all, it was the company, not the hospital. He couldn't dress casually. When Huamin arrived, the chief secretary of the president's office, Bella, came to pick him up. Other than Assistant Yang, she was the most outstanding assistant in the president's office. She was also a strong woman and a workaholic. A young lady, you're here. Okay, tell them that there's a high-level meeting in 5 minutes. Is the president back? Bella was slightly surprised. I'll be in charge. Chapter 1384. You're in charge. Bella was obviously surprised. President Qin still has a few things to take care of, so I'll take care of the company. Okay, I understand. I'll let him know right away. Huamin then went into the president's office and fixed his makeup. 5 minutes later, inside the executive meeting room at GK headquarters, the 13 executives looked at a young lady who was sitting in the middle of the room. They were all a bit confused, and their expressions were quite interesting. President Qin is still out of town dealing with some things. The chairman isn't feeling well and is receiving treatment at the hospital. I'll be taking over for President Qin for the next 2 days. Everyone, you can begin now. If you have any questions, please ask. Time is precious, so let's hurry. Huamin made his first official appearance at GK headquarters, inside the executive meeting room. He was so calm and didn't have any stage fright. He was full of confidence in front of the 13 executives. He had the same temperament and rhythm as Qin Chu when he was in a meeting. He was so handsome, the room was silent, as if everyone was not used to this. Did you guys not understand what I said? Do you need me to repeat myself? Hua Mian leaned her hands on the table and asked with a cold expression on her face. A young lady, after the stock market opened today, it's been falling. The numbers are terrible. Finally, one of the executives began to speak. No, the reason why it's falling is because of the forced demolition scandal. President Qin is over there dealing with that. So, as long as we restore our image, we can stop the stock market from falling. That's not hard. Next. A young lady, this is GK Entertainment's quarterly report. Please take a look. The person in charge of GK Entertainment carefully handed him a folder. Hua Min took it, looked it over, and immediately saw the key points. Compared to last quarter, it's down 22%. Hua Min asked. Yes, a young lady. We accept your criticism, we didn't do a good enough job. GK Entertainment had always been run by a woman who was very capable. Hua Min had interacted with her before and knew what kind of person she was. It's not your fault. A while ago, the movie that was supposed to be released was banned, and that affected us quite a bit. It's all man-made, so you can't blame it all on the company's operations. But it's okay, keep your spirits up, things will get better and better. The head of GK Entertainment was flattered. She thought that she would be scolded by a young lady. However, a young lady, thank you for your understanding. How's the audition going? We've reached the final stage. Now, it's the qualifying round. After that, it'll be the official appearance of the top 10 in the country. Go back and come up with a plan. When the top 10 are announced, we'll live stream it online. At the same time, we'll partner with a TV station with the highest viewership. We have to increase the exposure of our show. That way, when the winner is announced, she'll already be a celebrity without any promotions, Hua Min suggested. A young lady, you had the same idea as President Qin, and he said the same thing. I'll write up a plan in a bit, and we'll finalize it in a couple of days. The woman in charge was pleasantly surprised. Okay. Hua Min nodded. A young lady. GK Jewelry's sales have been very low recently. A while ago, President Qin said that we're going to release a new collection this spring. We've already come up with the blueprints. Can you take a look at the draft? High-level meetings were actually very scary, as they had to deal with hot potatoes thrown at them by various departments at any time. Chapter 1385. Hua Min took it and glanced at it. Then, he looked up and said, how about this? Send it to my email, and I'll look at it when I have time. Okay. A young lady, President Liu and his wife from Southeast Asia's LeFu Corporation are visiting our city tonight, and they're having dinner with President Qin tonight. Do you want to cancel it and make another appointment? How long are they going to be here? Hua Min asked. Just 3 days. If it's 3 days, President Qin might not be able to come back. How about this, you make the arrangements, and I'll have dinner with them. They don't speak Mandarin, they've been communicating in English. The executive felt a bit awkward. English. I can do that too. Go make the arrangements, and send me the time and place, Hua Min said slowly. Okay, a young lady. Young madam, the entrance has been surrounded by reporters and shareholders. Should we write a public relations statement now? The head of the public relations department asked. Not yet, I'll talk to President Qin tonight. If we need to make a statement, I'll make the arrangements. Okay, a young lady. Is there anything else? Hua Min glanced around and asked when she saw that no one was talking. Nothing else. Nothing else, a young lady. Good, then we're done here. After speaking, Hua Min got up and left, with Bella following behind him. Just like that, this young woman, who had just turned 25, sat in the executive meeting of the largest financial group in the country and conducted an exciting meeting. She didn't do any preparation or study, and immediately got started. She solved every problem from every department without hesitation or confusion. She was so powerful that she defied the laws of nature. After she left the meeting room, the executives were still secretly exclaiming, "Our young madam is so cool, so cool." She presided over the meeting just like this. That's why I said that ordinary women don't deserve President Qin, let alone a genius like a young lady. To be honest, it's a pity that a young lady is a doctor. With her brain, she should come to our corporation to help President Qin. Then, GK will be able to break into the international business world. Is a young lady really only 25 years old? Oh my, why does he look so mature and steady? He doesn't lose to President Qin at all. That's why I said that both husband and wife are the best. The higher-ups spoke one after another, but in the end, they all had the same idea. A young lady was too awesome. She handled things too cleverly and reacted too quickly. There were no flaws at all. The most important thing was that his aura was too strong and intimidating. Inside the president's office, Huamin went back to his office and turned on Qin Chu's computer to check the stock market. Then, he began to deal with some documents sent by various departments that needed to be signed. A young lady, coffee. Bella brought in a cup of coffee. Give me some milk, thank you. Even though Huamin was so busy, she still remembered that she was preparing for pregnancy. Every time she came to the company, Qin Chu only allowed her to drink milk. So, she was used to it, okay. Bella paused for a second, then immediately changed the warm milk for Huamin. Huamin spent the entire afternoon organizing all kinds of data. When it was almost time to get off work, she received an itinerary from the administrative department. 8 p.m., Hilton Chinese Restaurant, dinner with President Liu and his wife from Southeast Asia's LeFu Corporation. Huamin placed her phone on the table and pressed the internal line. A young lady, what's up? Bella walked in. Do you have something going on tonight? No. Do some overtime and come to dinner with me. You'll get paid double overtime. Huamin didn't forget to joke around. Bella was amused as well. At 5:30 p.m., Huamin finished organizing the documents, got off work on time, and drove to the first hospital. On the way, she put on her Bluetooth headset and dialed a number. Honey. On the other end of the phone, Qin Chu's gentle voice sounded. Honey, I got off work and wanted to report to you that everything went well today. How's the situation on your end? Huamin asked with a smile. The situation on my end is a bit tricky, Qin Chu told him the truth, not wanting to hide anything. Did you find Jiang Linyue? Huamin was a bit worried. Chapter 1386. Not yet, then what should we do? It's okay, there's no point in finding her in this situation. Even if she comes out to explain and defend me, no one will believe her. I need to comfort the victim's family first, and then I'll continue to look for loopholes. GK can't take the blame for this. Forced demolition is a small matter, but the lives of a family of 5 are more important. We can't afford to take the blame. Okay, be careful. Have you eaten? Honey? Not yet, I'm going to see Dad at the hospital and eat with Mom and Dad. I have to meet with clients later. Thank you. Qin Chu's heart ached slightly. He hated that he couldn't be in 2 places at the same time, and his wife had to bear the burden with him. Don't be silly, we're family. Your problems are my problems. Okay, I'll go back as soon as I'm done. Okay. After the sweet call, Huamin ordered exquisite takeout and brought it to the first hospital. Dad, how are you feeling? Much better. Mian, about the company. Qin Yumin seemed to still miss the headquarters. After all, it was the place where he worked his whole life when he was young. Dad, it's all taken care of. Rest well, you shouldn't eat greasy food right now, you should eat some coarse grain porridge. It's better for you, okay. Qin Yumin nodded repeatedly. Huamin handed another food container to Lady Qin. Mom, it's hard for you to take care of Dad, so you should eat something good. This is Li Ji's sea cucumber porridge, and your favorite shrimp dumplings. Eat more. You're so considerate. Lady Qin held the food and was slightly moved. They all said that distance tests a horse's strength, and time reveals a person's heart. It was truly torturous. Huamin could pretend for a short period of time, but whenever Qin Chu was in trouble, Huamin would be the first to stand up for him. She was fearless, and no matter what others said, she would stand by his side unconditionally. Having a daughter-in-law like her was a blessing to the Qin family. A while ago, Huamin caught an egg with her bare hands and defended her husband in front of the media. Screenshots of the video were still circulating on WeChat. She was China's best daughter-in-law. The Qin Chu's wife go to the company during the day and the hospital at night. Mian, you're busy right now. You don't need to come here every day. The nurses and I are enough. You take care of yourself, after all, you're still preparing to get pregnant. I know, Mom. I know what to do. Then, Huamian and her in-laws had a simple meal in the hospital room. Seeing that it was about time, she drove home and changed into a dress. Then, she went to do her hair and put on some simple nude makeup before going back to the company to pick up Bella. Mian, to hua to Qin, to hua, Mian, Qin, hudo Qin. Today, Huamian chose an emerald green dress. In the cold winter, the emerald green in the midst of the white snow was very eye-catching. She wore a white tasseled shawl and a pair of golden high heels. She looked elegant and graceful. Her hair was curled at the sides. It was loose and natural, befitting her age. She didn't look childish or mature. Bella, is this okay? Huamin was actually quite nervous about meeting a client alone for the first time. Chapter 1387. Very beautiful, Bella sat in the passenger seat and complimented a young lady from the bottom of her heart. Huamin smiled faintly and drove his R8 to the Hilton Hotel with Bella. He had done his homework and knew that he was going to work with LoveLore Corporation on jewelry. LoveLore Corporation was the largest raw material supplier of diamonds and jewelry in Southeast Asia. Their main source of income was Sri Lanka, where both diamonds and labor were cheap. On the other hand, GK's philosophy was to sell diamonds and jewelry at affordable prices. The only difference was that they were cheaper and of better quality than other luxury goods. Therefore, GK's reputation had been excellent for years. GK's jewelry was an important investment, and he couldn't give it up no matter what. Therefore, it was important for him to meet with President Liu of LoveLore Corporation. Inside the Hilton Chinese restaurant, Huamin met President Liu and his wife. They were a couple in their 50s, about the same age as Qin Chu's parents. President Liu was very low-key and only brought a bodyguard and a Chinese translator with him. In comparison, Huamin was even more low-key and only brought Bella. President Liu, Mrs. Liu, welcome to the beautiful sea city. I'm Qin Chu's wife, Huamin. I've heard from CEO Qin that he has a good wife. CEO Liu smiled. You're too kind, let's take a seat, please. Huamin generously extended his hand and invited President Liu and his wife to take a seat. As soon as Huamin opened his mouth, Bella was a bit surprised. A young lady actually knew how to speak English, and she spoke it very fluently. However, she had always heard rumors that a young lady had never left the country and only went to a third-rate local university. She didn't even have a grade in English, so how could she? She had thought that a young lady brought her here because she passed CET 8 in English. Now, it seemed like a young lady could communicate freely and didn't even need her to translate. I heard that Mrs. Liu is from our hometown. Huamin asked with a smile. Yes, my mother is from here, and my father is from Thailand, so I'm of mixed blood. Mrs. Liu was very kind. Huamin didn't just praise or flatter her, instead, he chatted with her fluently. They talked about GK's jewelry, real estate, and their new entertainment company. Huamin's answers flowed smoothly, and President Liu and his wife were very satisfied. Mrs. Qin, I really like Ni Yang from your company. He sings really well, and both of my daughters love listening to him. Thank you, he's a very motivated kid. We're like siblings. Huamian smiled. Can you bring me 2 autographed copies of your new albums? Of course, as is. That's not a problem at all. If there's a chance in the future, ask your daughters to come over. I can arrange for them to meet Ni Yang. Really? That's great. Mrs. Liu liked Huamin a lot, so she kept toasting him. Because of their age difference, Huamin treated them as his elders. Therefore, he couldn't refuse, so he drank one glass after another. Soon, the bottle was empty. Mrs. Liu, on the other hand, didn't seem to have had enough. She called the waiter for another bottle. Bella was a bit worried, so she quietly whispered into Huamin's ear, "A young lady, let me drink for you." "It's okay, I'm fine." Huamin knew that Mrs. Liu really liked him, so they got along quite well. If he asked his secretary to drink for him, it would seem too insincere. After dinner, Huamin was a bit drunk and his cheeks were slightly red. "Lady Qin, I heard that Seductive Fox is very famous. It's a city that never sleeps. Can you take us there?" Mrs. Liu was 50 years old, but her mentality was very young. She actually made such a request during dinner. Bella looked at a young lady awkwardly, afraid that she wouldn't be able to handle it. Huamin smiled slightly. "Sure, let's go now. The owner of Seductive Fox is a good friend of President Qin and I." "Awesome, let's go then." President Liu and his wife seemed to be having a lot of fun. They didn't notice that the girl had drunk quite a bit. When Huamin brought them to Seductive Fox, Rick booked a VIP room for them. Huamin was a bit dizzy. After ordering some songs for them, she walked out and leaned against the wall in the hallway. She took out a cigarette and put it in her mouth. Just as she was about to light it up, someone snatched it away. "You're so young, why are you smoking? Do you want to die?" a familiar voice said. Huamin turned around and looked at the man in front of her in surprise. Chapter 1388. Why are you here? Huamin looked at Suyu with a smile. It seemed like there was a high chance of bumping into Suyu at Seductive Fox. After all, Suyu was a big boss in the entertainment industry and had to entertain his clients. In the entire Sea City, Seductive Fox was the only place that could be seen. Where else could he go if not here? "I'm here with a client." Suyu casually placed Huamin's cigarette behind his ear. "What a coincidence, me too." Huamin continued to smile. Perhaps it was because she was a little drunk and didn't have much energy, so her head was a little dizzy. Other than smiling, she didn't know what to say. Does a hospital director have to entertain clients? Suyu tilted his head and asked. No, it's GK's. Where's your husband? He's still in T-City. So she left all this mess to you. Suyu looked at Huamin with heartache. She didn't leave it to me, I took the initiative to help her. Huamin pursed his lips and chuckled. Suyu felt a little jealous. After a while, he slowly opened his mouth and said, Qin Chu has an old wife. Upon hearing this, Huamin only smiled and didn't say anything. She rarely smoked. She only smoked when she was under a lot of pressure, but right now, she was a little drunk. Therefore, she wanted to see if she could smoke to sober up. However, she didn't expect Suyu to snatch it away from her. Therefore, the two of them stood in the hallway with their backs against the wall. They chatted casually, as if they were old friends. It was so natural. Suyu tilted his head and secretly looked at Huamin's profile. The lights in the hallway of Seductive Fox weren't very bright and were even a little dim. However, under the dim lights, Huamin was still very attractive. Many times, Suyu had the urge to run up and hug her. He really just wanted to hug her. Now that she was so close to him, he was actually terrified. Why are you looking at me like that? Huamin turned his head and met Suyu's gaze. Cough. Actually, I wanted to ask, are you a little drunk? Your face is very red. Suyu was a little embarrassed and changed the topic. Huamin nodded and admitted, yes, I drank 2 bottles of red wine and 5 bottles of beer. Are you crazy? I'm just accompanying a client. Is there a need to get me drunk? It's not like GK needs money. Suyu was surprised. Huamin smiled. I wanted to drink it myself. The client is only a small reason. A lot has happened recently, and I haven't been sleeping well. So, if I drink more, maybe I'll sleep better tonight. But, aren't you preparing for pregnancy? Getting drunk and smoking aren't good for the fetus. Suyu said for the first time. Huamin was stunned for 3 seconds, then, she started giggling. What are you laughing at? Suyu was a little scared by her laughter. I didn't think you could say something like that. It's so funny, I'm serious. If you smoke and get drunk, how are you going to have a baby? But the baby isn't here yet. Huamin was even more depressed when he said this. She had done everything she could. She did a physical checkup, drank Chinese medicine, and prayed at the temple. There was still no baby. What else could she do? Don't worry, you'll have a baby, for sure. Although Suyu's words hurt when he said them, he still wanted Huamin to be happy. He didn't like to see Huamin so emotional and Huamin hiding in the corner and smoking. He liked to see the arrogant female doctor who wore a white coat and could choke people to death with one sentence. However, he also knew that everyone had a weak side. Even a genius like Huamin would get tired sometimes. As the two chatted, a waiter from Seductive Fox suddenly walked over. Mrs. Chin, our boss wants to see you. Rick? Huamin asked. The waiter nodded, then I'll leave first, Lord Su. Oh right, do you want to give me back my cigarette? Huamin playfully reached out her hand to Suyu. Chapter 1389. In Your Dreams. I won't give you a cigarette, and if I find out that you smoke again, you'll what? Huamin asked with a smile when he saw that Suyu still hadn't finished his sentence. Forget it, no one can do anything to you if you're so cocky. Hurry up and go. After speaking, Suyu turned around and walked into the private room. Huamin followed the waiter to Rick's office. Inside the VIP room, after Suyu turned around and walked in, he carefully removed the cigarette from behind his ear. He couldn't bear to put it down. Huamin's expression was still vivid in his mind. Whenever he thought of her, his eyes would uncontrollably become as gentle as water. On the top floor of Seductive Fox, Huamin was quite surprised, because Rick always contacted Chin Chu directly. He never talked to her in private. Now that he asked the waiter to bring her here, she was quite curious. On her way in, she wondered if something was up. After entering, she saw Rick sitting on the sofa with his phone in his hand, seemingly fiddling with something. When he saw Huamin walk in, he stood up. You're here. Emichim, have a seat. Huamin sat down, and his assistant immediately poured a cup of coffee and placed it in front of Huamin. Have you contacted Qin Chu? Emichim, we talk every day. Huamin nodded. He didn't tell you that things are difficult over there, right? Emichim, he didn't, but I sensed it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed out for so long. Huamin was quite calm. Qin Chu and I have been investigating someone, the truth is. Rick slowly said. Huasichen. Smart. Rick nodded. Have you found any clues? Jiang Linyue is probably under his control, but we can't find out how they contacted each other. It's too secretive. Our people have been following Huasichen for a few days now, but we still haven't found anything. Is finding Jiang Linyue enough to solve the current situation? Something like that. We need her to change her statement and clear Qin Chu's name. We just need to know if the construction company mentioned in the stamped document in Jiang Linyue's hand participated in the forced demolition. Did GK was involved, or did someone else's heartless up? After all, 5 people's lives were lost. Qin Chu cares. Yes, as long as someone died, no one would not care. I know that he has been anxious to deal with that side recently. There's actually 2 reasons why I asked you to come today. Rick, Huamian's eyes, Rick's when he's this. First, was estes, I've always. SSSSSSSSSSS. Okay. Huamian knew that Rick wouldn't say these things for no reason. He must have his reasons. What's the second reason? Huamin asked. After a moment of silence, Rick slowly said, I want to ask. February 14th is almost Valentine's Day. What should I get a girl? Your girlfriend, Cece. Huamin asked with a smile. She didn't think that Rick's second question would be so weird. Rick seemed a bit shy as he nodded. Flowers. If it's your first love, you can get a pink rose. If it's your first love, you can get a red rose. If it's your deepest love, you can get a blue rose. As for how many flowers you want, you can get at least 999, right? Other than flowers. What else should I get to make her happy? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.